would like to put to the Prime Minister, and we'll put that to our panel of top politicians in our Westminster studio.
That's PMQ's Live here on GB News, Britain's election channel.
Hello there, very nice to see you. The time fast approaching 6 o'clock on this, the Monday, the 1st of April, and I kid you not, April Fool's Day, it's no joke.
This is Breakfast with Eamonn Holmes and Ellie Costello.
A shocking insight into the state of the NHS revealed as new estimates suggest more than 250 patients a week die needlessly because of long waits.
A smiling king greets crowds as he begins his return to royal duties at Windsor Castle.
Thousands of households across the country are set to be better off as a raft of economic policies come into force.
Bad weather, engineering work and a bank holiday means it's likely to be travel chaos for millions as they return home from Easter today.
And in the sport this morning, just to let you know, there's going to be absolutely no April Fool's nonsense with me whatsoever. So just to let you know that Liverpool drew 7-7 with Brighton and Manchester City managed to beat Arsenal 16-0.
Good morning. Today we've got outbreaks of rain. We've also got some heavy showers, perhaps thundery as well, but there'll also be some sunshine. Find out all the weather details coming up soon.
So King Charles has returned to royal duties, attending the Easter service at Windsor Castle yesterday.
Yes, after the service, the King spoke to the crowds gathered outside St George's Chapel, accompanied by Queen Camilla.
Now, the Prince and Princess of Wales, they weren't there following the revelation last week that the Princess of Wales has a cancer diagnosis. They were on a private holiday at Sandringham.
Well, former butler to King Charles III, Grant Harold, joins us now. Very good to see you this morning, Grant. And it was heartening, wasn't it? A positive sign to see the King not only doing a walkabout, but also shaking hands with people.
Good morning, Ellie. Good morning, Eamonn. Absolutely. I mean, it was wonderful to see because obviously we know he's going through the treatment just now. He has cut back on a lot of the public duties. We see what goes on behind the scenes, obviously at the palace with his engagements and his meetings, but to see him actually back doing a public duty, attending the service, and as you said, meeting well-wishers and even having a bit of a laugh and a joke with them is really nice to see. And I think it's given a lot of people, again, encouragement and hope that he's doing well.
Thought he looked well. What did you think?
I thought he did, Eamonn. I thought he looked under the circumstances. I thought he looks really well. And I see the fact that he's kind of joking and laughing, I always think that's quite a good sign because I'm sure, you know, from my time working there, humour was one of the big parts of the job. And to see that he's still got that humour is fantastic and really important. And I'm sure the Queen was equally happy for her to have her husband back at her side again.
I mean, the papers are describing this as a step back into public life this morning. Do you think that's the case, or do you think he was just dipping his toe in, so to speak?
I think you're right, Ellie. I think it's dipping the toe in. It's kind of showing us all that he is still there. He's very much carrying on as normal. He's, you know, doing the duties as you'd expect of a king, but most of it is behind closed doors. And that's just quite simply because obviously, as I'm sure we're aware, with the treatment he's having, you know, obviously don't want him catching anything or getting anything. So he's just being cautious. I mean, the reality is this is somebody who, he's a real graft. He's a hard worker. He will not like the fact that he's not able to be with the public. He really won't like that. And doing it behind closed doors, he's doing what he's told. I suppose. But this is something he'll be glad that he's actually done. And it's possible that we might see him doing a little bit more of this going forward, as hopefully as he continues to improve.
Yeah, I'm looking at the Daily Mail here this morning. They have a sub-headline which says, did Camilla have state sanitizer on standby? I mean, the point being for them, when you're getting treatment the way the King is getting, your immune system can be weakened, and it wouldn't be advisable to, you know, shake hands, rub shoulders with the general public, which is exactly what he did.
Exactly. I mean, it was interesting to see him doing this, and you can guarantee, absolutely. I mean, I'm sure when he goes into church, they'll make sure his hands are clean. I mean, that's something. Even the late Queen, you know, was always very careful when it, just for obvious reasons, when it comes to germs. But again, I think he just wanted to show that he is still getting on with the duty, and he's not afraid. You know, this is a man that very little frightens him. So I think he's shown the world he's not afraid of this, and he's fighting it, and he's obviously going to, hopefully, God willing, he's going to make a full recovery. But at the same time, he wants to go out there and just carry on as he would normally go around shaking hands, and he wants to show that he's still carrying on, doing the duty that he's supposed to be doing.
But except, Grant, he can't carry on in every department the way he perhaps would like to be. Now, you know him, you worked for him. What would he be missing doing, and what would he be filling his time with?
It's very much the walkabouts when you see him kind of public engagements, which, Eamonn, as you're both aware, there's many. I mean, these diaries are planned 6 to 9 months in advance, and they're full on. I mean, it's something you would never wish to do, the kind of duties that they have to do. And the fact he's scaled back on that, he won't like it. What will he turn his hand to? Very much what we're seeing behind closed doors. He still carries with his meetings, his audiences. He's still got a lot of work as King. You know, still documents to be signed and meetings to be held and discussions to have, and he'll still be doing all of that. We've seen some of that, so he by no means will have slowed down. I'd like to think that he's not working as late. I remember him working very late into the night, long after I'd gone to bed and been up before I was even up and about. And I'd like to think that maybe he's kind of cut back on those kind of late nights and early starts, so that at least it's a bit more kind of sensible hours for him, especially with the fact he's also having this treatment. But you've got to admire him. I mean, somebody, you know, mid-70s, you know, he's only just taken this job on in the last few years. He's now fighting this horrific disease, and as many millions of other people do, but he's also having to do it in front of the world. So, you've got to admire the man.
Well, let's hope he's looking after himself, as you say, and not having those late nights. I was quite struck by his Maundy Thursday message last week, and how religious the King is. I mean, we already knew that, but I think his show of faith was really quite obvious over the weekend, and that's something he had in common with his late mother as well, didn't he? It probably meant so much to be there at the Easter Sunday service for him.
It does, and obviously it wasn't the Monday service. Obviously the Queen stood in for him, but religion's very important to him. I'm sure you're both aware that even at Highgrove, which is somewhere that he classes as his sanctuary, he has got a little sanctuary, a little chapel there in the grounds, and it's been created that any faith can worship there. Doesn't matter what faith, religion, everybody can worship there. It's very private to him. It's only friends and close family that go there. But religion's a very big part of his life, and as you mentioned, it was very, very important to his late mother as well. And, you know, so the King takes that very seriously. And so the fact he's put this message out, you know, again, this is him kind of carrying on his mother's work, if you like, and showing that when it comes to religion, all religions, you know, it's something that he very much is passionate about and supports, and has shown that and demonstrated that, especially since becoming King.
Grant, really appreciate it. Thanks for your perspective, your take, your overall look at things. Thank you, and happy bank holiday to you. Happy Easter.
Absolutely.
Happy April Fool's Day, all those things.
All the above. Thanks, Grant.
Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye. I can't stand April Fool's Day.
Neither can I.
It's moronic.
Oh.
It's fine. It's fine if you're 5 years of age and somebody plays a trick on you or whatever it is. You think, ho, that's very funny. But what I can't stand are news programmes that put out stuff that purports to be real, and people say, I fell for that. Well, you should fall for it because you're being given it by credible people who are paid to deliver truthful news and should be trusted. And we'll end up not being trusted if we were to take part in the likes of that.
No.
I wish this was an April Fool that I was giving you today. And the cost of living. They're calling today Miserable Monday. Broadband and mobile phones up by 8%. Council tax up by 5.1%. Water bills 6%. TV licence fee 6.6% or £10.50. NHS dentist up 4%. That's if you can get one. Stamps up to £1.35 first class and 85p second class. And so there are a few things down. I'm trying to find them. Vehicle tax is up. What else is up? So we've got national insurance down by 2% to 8%. May save you about 450 quid a year. Energy price cap down by 238 quid to 16.90. Living wage, well, it's going up, £11.44. Not that that's going to make you retire. And the minimum wage for those aged 18 to 20 up to £8.60 or 14.8%.
Well, the government's giving some cash boosts, aren't they, to households today? So they're saying that people are going to be better off. On average, £3,850 better off a year. As
How much? Give me that again.
£3,580, £3,850 better off as a result of these economic policies coming into force today. But as you say, on the other hand,
all those other things.
All those other bills are skyrocketing.
That's not even counting food inflation and goodness knows
what.
Which
isn't coming down, is it?
No, it's
not in the shops, not yet. No,
but anyway, shocking new report from the Royal College of Emergency Medicine has said that more than 250 patients a week may have died needlessly. This is just in England last year due to waits in A&E for a hospital bed.
Yes, NHS data for England shows more than 1.5 million patients waited 12 hours or more in major emergency departments last year.
Political commentator Peter Spencer joins us now, and I hope you're well, Peter, because I wouldn't want to see you passing away in some hospital corridor.
Yeah, a couple of minutes anyway.
It is unbelievable though what they can get away with. You know, you come when you're at your most vulnerable to A&E, and they say, well, just wait there for 7 weeks, and we'll try and find you a bed.
Well, absolutely. I mean, I have to say there are a couple of leading health think tanks produced a report a few days ago which suggested that that satisfaction with the NHS is now at a historic low. Only a quarter of the population believe it is actually working, which suggests to me that it could well be a number one issue come the election, whenever that is. And it is little surprise when you consider this kind of backdrop that the Conservative Party, which has been running the country for the last 14 years, supposedly, is in such dire straits when it comes to the polls. There was a Survation survey a couple of days ago which suggested that they would actually lose to such a catastrophic extent that there would be fewer than 100 Tory MPs after the election. And indeed, Rishi Sunak himself and his Chancellor, Jeremy Hunt, could well lose their seats. And so, I mean, you look at a situation like the health service, which is something, I mean, Lady Bracknell wisely remarked in the importance of being earnest. Health is the primary duty of life. And in this respect, very clearly, the government is letting the nation down. And it is little surprise that in the view of so many people, the Tories are toast.
I think you're right, Peter, that this is going to shock many people this morning. It's on the front page of many of the papers. It is going to be an election issue this year. But how can it possibly be fixed?
That is a very good question, Ellie. And that is that at this point, Sir Keir Starmer, the Labour leader, heaves directly into view, and he's engaged in his local election campaigns, and as a dress rehearsal for the real thing, of course, he's engaged in damage in expectation management on an industrial scale. He's said things like, okay, local authority services, which are in a pretty rubbish state right now, well, he can't just turn the taps on. And most certainly, up until now, it's been, very well and good to say how rubbish the Tories are, but then you then ask the question, well, how exactly do you plan to fix it? I mean, the only couple of points I'd make here, one of which is the fact that, of course, he's keeping his powder as dry as he possibly can, because if he comes up with some brilliant wheeze, it's within the bounds of possibility that the Tories will nick the idea. And the other point is that, he's actually got to have his thinking cap sort of jammed so firmly over his head when he works out exactly what he is going to do, because I can envisage a situation where he gets in with a stonking majority. Everyone says, right, Labour Party is going to save the nation. And within months, people are going to be saying, yeah, but the waiting lists are still just as long and everything is still just as rubbish. The potholes are just as deep, which projects the very distinct possibility that his honeymoon period with the voters could well turn out to be nasty, brutish and short, as someone once said.
We're pegging this story to figures that have been released for the NHS in England, but this also applies to Northern Ireland, to Scotland, to Wales as well, where these waiting lists are all just as dire.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, there are strong arguments that say that the NHS should be run in a more efficient way, but underneath that, there's the small point of the fact that it needs more resources, it needs more money. And at very least, Starmer has made it clear that he'll ditch the Rwanda scheme, which will at least save £500 million. That's a start, but he's going to find an awful lot more. I mean, and it's a question at this point, over the coming months, where he's going to put his focus. And it would surprise me if he doesn't tilt very strongly in the direction of the NHS and make that an absolute priority when it comes to money, resources, thinking.
Peter, thank you very much indeed. Quite a depressing picture there. Thank you. If you've got a story that you might want to tell us, well, it's not as depressing as that. I doubt you will have, but staff, no matter what your job is within the NHS, people work very hard and they do it very well on the resources that they do have. But the idea that anybody in a serious condition should have to wait in a corridor for a bed is ridiculous.
Yeah, it's a very sad state of affairs, isn't it?
Do you know what always got me? The COVID, and they made all these hospitals, what were they called? The Nightingale, the very person. And did you ever see anybody in them?
No, I don't think they were ever used.
They opened them up everywhere and then didn't use them. Another waste of money. Let's have a look at some of the other stories coming into the newsroom on this Monday morning.
New childcare plans come into force today. Eligible parents and carers of 2-year-olds will now be entitled to 15 hours of funded childcare a week. It's the first part of an £8 billion package announced at the 2023 budget that the government hopes will support working parents. However, the Labour Party have criticised the government, saying they have a pledge without a plan.
In Scotland, controversial new hate crime laws will come into effect from today. First passed in 2021, the Act has consolidated existing hate crime legislation and created a new offence for threatening or abusive behaviour intended to stir up hatred based on prejudice. However, the legislation has raised concerns about a threat to free speech, with prominent critics including J.K. Rowling, Joe Rogan and Elon Musk.
Anti-government protests have broken out in Jerusalem in a series of planned demonstrations until Tuesday. Tens of thousands of people were calling on the government to reach a ceasefire deal to free the dozens of hostages held in Gaza by Hamas. Protesters are also calling on the government to hold an early election, which is not due to happen until the spring of 2026.
So I've just been looking this up. April Fool's Day, occurring on April the 1st each year, has been celebrated for several centuries by different cultures, though its exact origins remain a mystery. Maybe that's a joke. April Fool's Day traditions include playing hoaxes or practical jokes on others, often yelling April Fools at the end of the clue. at the end, to clue in the subject of an April Fool's Day prank. Do you not find things on that you take off the internet? They're always written by people who can't write.
Yeah, or written in a really weird way. That you
Yes,
can speak
that's a weird
or
way.
read.
That's a weird way.
It's
So,
very strange.
what do we used to say? April Fool's is dead and gone, and you're a fool for carrying on. If you did that tomorrow, did you never hear that?
Oh,
rhyme
no,
before?
I've never heard that one. Aren't you not meant to do it after midday? Or have I made that up?
You've made that up.
OK.
The whole day.
Maybe that's April
The
Fool.
whole day is the 1st of April.
Oh, I thought you could only do it till midday. Have you ever been the victim of a prank?
Not really. Just stupid, aren't they?
They are stupid. I once came home from lectures at university, walked into it was when we were in halls, so you just get a little bedroom, walked into my bedroom and my friends had wrapped everything in the bedroom, including the bed, in tin foil.
In tin foil?
Everything. Every
What
item.
age was this person?
Well, I was 18, 19 at the time, so they would have been the same. Everything, my toothbrush, my toothpaste, all my pencils.
But was he like subnormal?
Well, there was a group of them. They all did
They
it
were all
to me.
subnormal?
Yeah, all subnormal. I think they thought it was really funny. It took me
Hilarious.
ages to get rid of all that tin foil. Would have cost them a fortune as well. And taken a
Well,
long
maybe.
time.
Maybe prove me wrong. Maybe something hilariously funny's happened to you on April Fool's Day, and it's worth doing, and I'm just not getting it. Let us know. Also, let us know. I mean, I'm talking about bills soaring today. We've got a government minister coming up very shortly, and he's going to tell us why you're all just going to be...
Better off.
Yes, just bathing in it, bathing in richness today. Money's coming your way today, and it's going to change your life.
Yeah.
We'll see. We'll see what he's got on offer there, and you tell us if you think it's going to make a difference to you. Is it a miserable Monday, or is it like a big payday to you in various respects?
Yeah, do let us know. Now, it's the Easter bank holiday, and as tradition follows, people have been visiting local markets to celebrate the arrival of spring.
And just before the long weekend, East Yorkshire held its first ever Young Traders Market to encourage people under 30, that's why they're young, to get started in markets and trade in their local towns.
Yes, well, our reporter Anna Riley was at the event and has the story for us.
Fresh bananas, pick it out.
Markets are the heartbeat of many British towns.
Oh, you fresh veg. 2 puddings for £3, strawberry, seedless grapes and apple.
But they must attract young people if they are to survive. That's why the National Market Traders Federation are supporting the next generation of market stall holders through their Young Trader of the Year competition.
The average age of market traders is about 55, which as an industry we need more young people. They're coming in. This is the 12th year we're doing this campaign. It is working, but we've got to keep doing this. We've got to keep fresh blood coming in. Young traders bring young shoppers, and it's just great for the industry all around. For little investment can be their own boss, have something they're proud of, and they can expand. I mean, there's loads of businesses out there that started off as market trading, even the likes of Tesco's. So it's little steps. We start at the bottom, work your way up, and you could be the next Alan Sugar.
The first Young Traders Market has been held in East Yorkshire to boost business for entrepreneurs aged between 16 and 30. These stall holders in Beverley appreciate the platform that the event has given them.
Can markets seem a little bit old-fashioned? Yes, but now we've got younger people coming down, we can really develop them and make the high street that little bit more interesting for the youth.
It's a lot better if you have to grind out the hours, work in markets like these, in the rain, in the wind, in the snow, and I think it gives you more of a love for it.
I think that's what's really good about young traders and doing markets. It's very supportive. It's not, I mean, it is a competition, but people don't really feel like that. I think it's nice to boost each other.
Most marketplaces are run by councils who have been their public custodians since Victorian times.
But obviously important, particularly for rural areas, to create employment opportunities, and obviously self-employment and starting your own business is a great way to do that. So any way that we can help as a council through our economic development and business support services to encourage younger people to do that and to start their business here in the East Riding is obviously something we'd encourage.
And without the customers, traders, young or old, just wouldn't exist.
Buy my fruit, I like to buy my plants from independent people. I want to see it alive. I want to see people come to Beverley. And OK, online has its place, but if we keep doing online, we shan't have any independent traders. We shan't have this, and that'll be such a sad thing.
The winner of the National Young Traders Market competition will be announced in August. Anna Riley, GB News.
Thank you, Anna. So young traders bring young shoppers is the theory there. I hope that is the case. I remember when I was young and, you had no prospect of earning any money and you needed to get money in, I always, with me and my brother Bran, would always think of things to do, like cut people's grass, cut people's hedges, clean their cars, car washing. Was quite labour intensive, but it was quite good. You always got whatever it was, a £5 or whatever for doing it.
You're like a young entrepreneur.
Well, what else do you do?
Well, that's all you can do, isn't it?
Yeah, I agree with you when a lot of people will say, oh, there's no work or there's no time. People always want driven somewhere. They always want somebody to do their laborious tasks for them, whether it's emptying their bins or clearing out a room or their garage or whatever it happens to be. Washing cars, as I say, is always there.
Yeah, it's good for kids as well, isn't it, to learn the value of money?
But that's a real skill they have in terms of being behind a counter somewhere and saying to someone, this is a good price, this is a good deal, OK, I'll cut you a deal on this and, buy 2 of them and you'll get X amount off and whatever. So good luck anybody who's trying to do it.
Yeah.
That's to be said.
It's a good idea.
I'd buy, if you were serving me in a shop, I'd be a sucker for it.
Really?
I'd say yes, whatever.
See, I'd be useless in a shop. I'd be giving away everything for free.
No, you so wouldn't.
I would. I'd be giving away everything for free. I would.
There'd be like queues.
Wouldn't drive a hard bargain.
There'd be queues. I'd be standing there and there'd be like one person there and then you'd be beside me and there'd be like 50 queuing up there. All for that.
Imagine us running a shop. It'd be chaos. Absolute chaos. We'd be talking to everyone for too long.
No, I don't
Wouldn't get anything done.
I don't think it'd be chaos.
No? OK. Maybe then we can do that then.
Is the weather going to be chaos? No,
Probably, yes,
I heard yesterday we were going to be bathed in sunshine. I didn't see it.
No.
But today you're going to be wet upon.
Pack your
that
brolly.
Sounds rude, actually. Does.
Yeah.
Anyway, here's Greg. Good morning.
A brighter outlook with Box Solar, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Hello, good morning. Welcome to your latest weather. Over the next few days, it does remain unsettled. We do have rain pushing north today, heavy showers following, but there will be some warm sunshine. We can divide the country into 3 today. Cloud and rain across this central swathe of the UK. Quite a cold feeling day. To the north of this, fairly cloudy, some bright skies, and then to the south of this, a mixture of sunny spells and scattered showers. Some of them will be heavy with some hail and thunder in there too. Could be some local disruption. If you are stuck under this area of cloud and rain, it'll be quite cold, temperature 7-8 degrees. But in any sunnier breaks, we could see highs around 13 to 15 degrees, so not feeling too bad in the sunshine. As we move through into the evening time, further showers across England and Wales, perhaps some longer spells of rain along the south coast for a time. This area of rain continues to push its way northwards into Scotland, Northern Ireland also seeing some spells of rain. During the early hours, some clear spells in between. Windfall night, we could see 1 or 2 mist and fog patches developing. Temperatures a little lower compared to of late, but still largely above freezing. And then it's a mixed day on Tuesday. We'll see a mixture of sunny spells and scattered showers. The showers taking their time to bubble up, some of them on the heavy side at times, but many places across England and Wales staying dry, though turning cloudy. Very cloudy across parts of Scotland here as well. Outbreaks of rain through the day, some hill snow possible too. And temperatures 6 or 7 here, elsewhere 13 or 14.
That warm feeling inside from Boxed Boilers, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Now, the bad news, good news, bad news. The bad news is the Great British Giveaway ended last Friday. The good news is what, Ellie?
There's another one.
Whoa!
It's our biggest giveaway of the year so far, actually.
Get on it.
This is a good
is
thing.
It?
Yeah.
Why? How much cash?
There's £10,000 on a Greek cruise for 2. And then...
Wait a minute, 10,000 quid
on
plus
a cruise.
Then a cruise.
Yeah.
Plus a cruise.
£10,000
You don't have
cash.
to pay for the cruise out of the 10 grand.
Is another 10k on top. So 20k in total, plus a whole host of luxury travel gifts. The biggest one so far, your 2025 holiday could be on us. Here's all the details.
Well, forget that miserable Monday.
You could win our biggest prize giveaway so far. First, there's an incredible £10,000 in tax-free cash to spend however you like. Plus, courtesy of Variety Cruises, a bespoke 7-night small boat cruise for two worth £10,000. With flights, meals, excursions and drinks included, your next holiday could be on us. Choose any one of their 2025 Greek adventures and find your home at sea. We'll also send you packing with these luxury travel gifts. For a chance to win a prize worth over £20,000, text WIN to 63232. Text costs £2 plus one standard network rate message. Or post your name and number to GB04 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 5 p.m. on the 26th of April. Full terms and privacy notice at gbnews.com/win. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Brilliant.
Yes,
That's
good
a good
luck.
start to the day and the month and everything else.
Yeah.
That's a good month. A festival in ancient Rome was called Hilaria. Hilaria as in hilarious.
Very hilarious.
It's the Latin for joyful, right? Okay, and historians have linked April Fool's Day to this festival, Hilaria. So it was celebrated in ancient Rome. I bet you they were bursting their little sides with hilaria at everything that was going on there.
Do you know what? This makes sense, doesn't it? Mother Nature fooling people with changing, unpredictable weather. I can get on board with that.
Yeah, nothing's changed there.
Nothing's changed there.
Right, nothing's changed with the sport today, but Paul Coit reporting on all of that and a few other things aside. Next.
I'm Michelle Dewberry, and I'm not here to tell you what to think. I'd much rather hear what you have to say. So, send in your opinions to gbviews@gbnews.com. Keep them clean, and you never know, I might read them out. With my panel here on Jubes & Co, we debate, we get stuck into the issues of the day on a show where all views are welcome, especially yours. GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
2024, a battleground year.
The year the nation decides.
As the parties gear up their campaigns for the next general election.
Who will be left standing when the British people make one of the biggest decisions of their lives?
Who will rise?
And who will fall? Let's find out together.
For every moment, the highs, the lows, the twists and turns.
We'll be with you for every step of this journey.
In 2024, GB News is Britain's election channel.
Big news, big debates, big opinion. Patrick Christie's Tonight is the week's biggest show. Every weekday, 9 to 11 p.m, we've got the inside track on the day's top stories. There'll be sharp takes you won't get anywhere else. We will set the news agenda, not just follow it, and I want to bring you along for the ride. Whatever it is, we'll have our finger on the pulse. It's news, but it's this close to entertainment. Patrick Christie's Tonight, 9 to 11 p.m, only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel. GB News is the home of free speech. We were created to champion it, and we deliver it day in, day out.
Free speech allows us all to explore and debate openly the issues most important to us, our families, and of course, the British people.
Having challenging conversations to enlighten each other.
Which is why we hear all sides of the argument.
We are the People's Channel.
We will always stand by the freedom to express yourself.
On TV, radio, and online.
This is GB News,
Britain's news channel. Okay, Paul's here. He's got the latest sport after what was a busy weekend. We're back to Premier League action, thank goodness. God, honestly, international football, I can't stand it. Bores me.
Yeah.
What's that? Can't stand it. That's a bit of it.
I know what you're saying. What you're saying is you prefer a tournament, but when it's friendlies, and then you've got all the hurly-burly of the... Oh, by the way, I've never used that phrase before. How did that go down? Hurly-burly of the Premier League.
But there's hurly-burly and there's a hurly-girly.
Oh, is there? Who's she, then?
No, it's a man.
I'm not familiar with her.
There's a song.
What, it's a hurly-girly?
Hurly-girly man.
That's the hurdy-gurdy man, isn't it?
The hurdy-gurdy.
The hurdy-gurdy man.
Hurdy-gurdy.
Then you start getting into the Netherlands with the hurdy-gurdy.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
So anyway, back to the hurdy-gurdy and the hurly-girly.
Well, let me see.
And the hurly-burly.
City Arsenal, right?
Yes.
Man City Arsenal. I sat and I watched that yesterday.
Yes.
Well, that shows you how dull my day was.
Oh, no.
So I watched that, and 0-0 it ends. I thought Arsenal, I mean, City, but I thought Arsenal neutralised them very well.
It's that phrase, isn't it? They cancelled each other out. But really, Arsenal went up there, instead of thinking we're going to go and win, we're going to go up there and not lose. That's what the game was all about. Manchester City had most of the possession, didn't they? Which we often hear about possession and statistics around that, but the only thing that really matters is how many goals they score, and they didn't.
Well, that's because Haaland was neutralised.
He was neutralised, absolutely. So it was a good job done by Arsenal. They're going to come away there happy with the result because they got beaten 4-1. They never win up at the Etihad. So it's a good result for them. I prefer to see teams go out and try and win it. But then again, you know, I'll put my hands up, and if that works out for them and they're thinking, well, this is the best thing that suits us, and play against Manchester City in that fashion, there you go, that's it. So 0-0.
And I think, you know, if the truth be told, City would have settled for a draw as well.
I think
they
so.
didn't lose.
Well, we're looking at the table. In Liverpool, we'll talk about in a second. Liverpool are top 67, Arsenal 65, Manchester City 64. Brighton were 1-0 up against Liverpool at Anfield after 87 seconds. But again, you don't want to score too early. You don't want to score too early.
Avoid them.
Yeah, and that's it. You think, well, sometimes it's not a good idea to score quite so early. By the way,
what?
You know, you're talking about April Fool's jokes and things played on April Fool's. I had a sporting April Fool that was played on me once, although it wasn't April. I was given one professional game in my life ever to play for Peterborough United against Aston Villa.
And this isn't the April Fool.
No, this is true. This is, I mean, it was an April Fool probably for most of the crowd watching, but I was given the chance to do this from the manager. So he said, well, would you not want to play 20 minutes? I said, yes. So anyway, I went into the changing room, and what they would do, they'd leave... See, I've never really experienced this. You get your shirt, your shorts, your pants, your socks, everything is all nicely folded up.
My mum used to do that for me.
That's nice. Well, that's what they do professionally. Yeah. But I bet she didn't spray Ralgex in your pants, did she?
No, she didn't.
She didn't do that. So anyway, I put the pants on. This is true. So I've gone out to warm up, and I'm thinking... God, this is so... My eyes were watering, but I didn't say anything because I thought that maybe that was normal and they do it to warm you up.
And you were warm feet.
Yeah, I was like... There were tears running down my eyes. I never said a word, but I was in agony for the whole thing.
What position did you play?
I played... It was supposed to be right wing, but it was probably... Yeah.
My friend, I've got to say goodbye to you.
I know, that's it.
Well, you know, that's not an April...
Stories of me for April Fools, I'm so sorry.
We've had a government minister that's popped up.
OK.
Yes, miserable Monday or boost for households. Well, we're talking about that now with Business Minister Kevin Hollinrake. Good to see you this morning. So I wanted to talk to you because you're here to talk about the cash boost to people on April the 1st. The households are going to be, on average, about £3,000 better off. But how true is all of that when you actually look at many things that are rising today? We've got broadband and mobile phone bills up by 8%, council tax up by 5%, water bills up by an average of 6%. Is it miserable Monday, or is it actually all just doom and gloom?
Well, I think it is really a good day for 2.7 million people, £1,800 a year better off if you're on the national living wage. So really good news. If you look at where the national living wage was in 2010, about £10,000 higher today, and about 35% increase, even after taking into account all those things you mentioned, inflation, basically. So really good news.
Yeah, I think the thing is, Kevin, people don't feel it, and you say it's really good news, but it's not enough to make a huge difference year on year for people. I mean, you'll recognise it's tough. It continues to be tough. You try and do what you do, but then I think people complain a lot because they think they're giving us that back, but then they're taxing us in some other way.
Well, I don't know about you, Eamonn, but £1,800 a year is a lot of money for some people, £150 a month, so it will make a real difference for people. And of course it's tough. We understand that. That's why the government stepped in to about the tune of about £100 billion to help with cost of living support for things like energy prices and making sure people in lower income households got an extra £900 a year in their accounts to try and help them through that difficult time. We understand it's been difficult, but things are improving. We'll see the economy turning a corner this year. We'll see interest rates dropping, taxes dropping, of course, £900 a year for the average person in terms of tax reductions with the national insurance cuts. So all those things are all good news to people. Of course, there's more to do, but things really are turning a corner.
Well, and then you look broadband, mobile phone charges, council tax, water bills, the TV licence fee, dentistry, stamps, vehicle tax. You know, again, I'm not necessarily blaming you on this, but there is a lot for people to absorb, and almost this money that you're talking about will be absorbed straight away.
I don't think it's a case of that. As in real terms, 35% increase in real terms versus 2010. And the most important thing we set out to do, that the Prime Minister set out to do, was to tackle inflation, which is driving some of those price increases. If you remember, just over a year ago, inflation was over 11%, 11.1%. It's down today just over about 3.5%. And by the end, within a few months, according to the Office of Budget Responsibility, we'll be back to 2%. That's months ahead of when it was supposed to get to that level. So we are seeing things turn around in terms of moderation of price increases, but crucially, this really big increase in the national living wage, which is a massive boost to lots of people. We've got one of the highest national living wages now in the developed world, so really, really good news for a lot of people. It's part on the back of our commitment to get a higher wage, higher skilled economy. And this hasn't cost jobs. 4.2 million more people in work than there were in 2010, and 1.2 million fewer people out of work. So really good news all the way around.
I'll tell you what isn't good news. It's that long waits in A&E are killing 250 people every single week. These are new figures compiled by the Royal College of Emergency Medicine, which is out today. It's on the front page of many of the newspapers. Shocking statistics, Kevin. People are needlessly dying in this country every single week. What's your reaction to that story?
Yeah, I mean, it's not what you want to see at all, but we are seeing progress. We put record amounts into the NHS. There are now 110,000 more doctors and nurses working in the NHS than there were back in 2010. Real terms increase in funding in the NHS over the last 5 years, but you've seen this rising demand. You know, an 8% rise in demand in terms of attendances and admissions into the A&E. It's a demand-side problem, and it's the same in every corner of the United Kingdom and in other countries as well. So we're putting those extra resources in, but of course there is huge pressure on the system.
Yeah, the system, Kevin, I mean, if you were to be returned in the general election, the system is something you'd have to continually look at, adapt and change. Do you think there is one big thing that we will have to get used to in the NHS, so that we have to tweak to make it more efficient?
Of course, we need to make it more efficient, and we've got a plan for that. But most of the problems of the NHS are caused by increased demand, and the reason, one thing that's driving that is we're all living longer, and our treatments are more comprehensive, more costly. So we have to continue to put more and more resources into the NHS. But you're right to say we want the service to be more efficient as well. But we are seeing those extra resources, and we've seen the backlog caused by COVID, of course. But again, on top of that, you've seen the 2-year waiting lists have been eradicated. 90% of the people waiting 18 months or more for operations have been eradicated too. So we are getting on top of it, but it's tough, and we've seen strikes over the last year which haven't helped. But we will get on top of this. But we have got a demand side problem, and we will have for some years to come.
Your childcare support package is starting to be rolled out today. We're talking to the Labour Party a little bit later on. They're saying that this is a childcare pledge without a plan, saying that many nurseries are forced to go bust because they're not able to actually expand their offer. And they're saying you're threatening to crash the childcare system with this plan.
Well, again, this is really good news. It's 15 hours a week of childcare for parents of 2-year-olds, and that goes down to 9 months over the next year and rolls up to 30 hours a week. Really, really good news. Helps lots of households. It's worth about £6,900 to the average household. Really good news. We're confident the places are there. Clearly, it's a private sector thing again, so the private sector will expand to offer these places. But quite surprisingly, Labour have failed to meet our commitment, or say they will meet our commitment in terms of that childcare offer. But we absolutely think it's the right thing to do. It's good for working households, it's good for people's average earnings, and it's good for the economy. So all round, it's the right thing to do.
That's the Business Minister, Kevin Hollinrake. Mr. Hollinrake, thank you for your time this morning. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. He says it's a good Monday for many of you. National insurance is down by 2%. The national living wage is rising to 11.44 pence an hour. The energy price cap is down. The minimum wage for those aged 18 to 20 is up to £8.60, or by 14.8%, and inflation-linked benefits, such as those in universal credit, will also see increases of 6.7% from this month. Is that going to make you feel better off? Let us know. We're back talking about the stories making the news next.
The latest GB News travel.
Good morning, I'm Johnny Ratner. On the A1M in South Yorkshire, the southbound exit slip road remains shut at junction 37, the mile turn-off north of Doncaster, where a lorry shed its load. And the M42 on the Warwickshire-Staffordshire border, that is closed on the southbound carriageway, junction 10 to 9, between the Tamworth and Coleshill exits, where a collision's being investigated. Derbyshire, the A57 shut between Glossop and Lady Bower for accident investigation work. And in East London, the A13's closed both ways. First of all, out of town from New Barn Street to the Prince Regent Lane underpass, and then into town from the underpass to Freemasons Road. Investigation works underway. There are already queues back to the Beckton flyover, and there are no long-distance trains to and from London Euston today. Avanti and London North Western are telling us it's down to the engineering works, and that's the latest.
You can stay up to date throughout the day by visiting our website, gbnews.com.
Your weekend starts here with Friday Night Live with me, Mark Dolan, 8 till 9 on GB News. Big stories, big guests and big laughs as we get you ready for a cracking weekend. That's Friday Night Live with Mark Dolan. Fridays 8 till 9 on GB News. Bring your own drinks. The admission's free. I'm Andrew Doyle. Join me at 7 o'clock every Sunday night for Free Speech Nation, the show where I tackle the week's biggest stories in politics and current affairs with the help of my 2 comedian panellists and a variety of special guests.
Free Speech Nation, Sunday nights from 7 on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel. Good afternoon, Britain.
Good afternoon, Britain.
Weekdays from midday, we bring you the most compelling stories from across the United Kingdom.
And why it matters to you. From your doorstep to our inbox.
That's right, we want to hear from you. Good afternoon, Britain. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Don Neeson and Chris Akabusi here to discuss stories making headlines today. And in the Sun, the Express, the Mirror front page of the Guardian as well. King's Easter speech, Dawn.
Look, wasn't, regardless of what you think of royalty, before anyone starts having a go at me, wasn't it lovely? This is a family. You know, there's been, well, Kate's got cancer, the King's got cancer, Sarah Ferguson's been diagnosed again. So here he is, we know he's got cancer, we know he's having some form of treatment, we don't know what. There was a lot of speculation about whether he'd be out in public. And the fact that he was there, he was shaking hands, which we weren't expecting. He looked remarkably well. I think, good for him. He's inherited Mum's sense of duty, don't you think? I mean, I think he was determined to be there, and I think he was determined to be there as well for Kate, because I think Kate and William and the kids were notably absent, understandably so. But I think I thought it was lovely. Sorry if you don't like the royals, but yeah, there you go.
I think it was really heartening to see him actually looking so well. Yeah. And I think it was good for the crowds to see him. It's the first time we've seen him this year.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I think the point that's been very well made, his sense of duty, getting back on the horse, getting on and doing it. We could see him look very, very well. The crowd seemed to be very happy to be able to give their best wishes to him and the family. And, we do wish his recovery very well. We don't really know what the cancer is. I mean, that was my thought when I saw him. He looked so well. I thought, well, what sort of cancer is it? Was it very, very early stage of cancer? I don't think there's any family in the country that hasn't been touched by the finger of cancer, and cancer can come at different stages. Stage 1 is a lot more milder than stage 4, obviously. But nonetheless, you could see a man getting back to, or a person, a human being, getting back to work, and that was nice to see.
Exactly that, yeah.
Chris, the small boat situation, we've seen so many thousand already this year arriving in the country of illegal migrants here. What is the criticism now of the small boats plan?
So basically, this is really the civil servants sort of saying that no one's getting on with it. There's no focus, insufficient staffing, we don't know what we're doing, no standard operational procedures, therefore no training, no idea. And they've given this red warning to Rishi Sunak that it's failing. Well, tell us something that we didn't know. And it just begins to make a mockery of these 5 pledges that I'm giving you and you're...
We're going to have to get to a stage, Chris. I mean, you look at these numbers and they are unsustainable. There's absolutely no doubt that they're unsustainable. That we're going to have to get to the stage where we defy Europe and any other remits there are on all of this, and you just round up everybody who arrives in the country, say, you're very welcome, we're now going to put you on a plane and we're putting you in Rwanda. They can sort it out that end.
Well, I don't think that's I mean, the incoming government...
There's many, 6,000 so far this year.
Yeah, the incoming government, though, I think they're thinking about attacking it in a different way, aren't they? They're suggesting that stop them at the source, stop the gangs and the trade that's happening at source so they don't even get to the continent, don't come into the channel, and you haven't got to deal with it. So there's, there are other ways of attacking it. I actually think that the Rwanda deal has been a red herring and the government have sunk themselves. It ain't going to happen. Everyone knows it's not going to happen. And this is part of the problem. They're saying that all of the attention, this is the civil service, all of the attention is on this Rwanda thing. It ain't happening, and therefore we're not looking at other things that should be happening. Like, what is the immigration policy that we're actually tackling?
The other problem with this is
how do you implement it?
You've got many very powerful civil servants who aren't elected, by the way. They're paid by us to do a job, who don't want it to happen.
You think they're stalling?
Yeah, I do. Well, I mean, the problem here, we've got an indecisive Prime Minister who just kicks things into the long grass. He's delayed it himself. We know there's ping-pong going on with the Rwanda deal between the House of Lords and the House of Commons. But Rishi Sunak himself said, well, look at it after Easter. Why? Just get on with it. You've got civil servants...
There's nothing they can get on with.
That's the thing. There's nothing to get on with.
But they delayed it. They delayed it. We will look at this bill after Easter. And it's like, no, get on with it now. Why are you even taking Easter? This is important. Get it sorted. And then you've got the civil servants sticking their oar in, no pun intended, because a lot of them don't want it to happen. They're very powerful. They're all working from home, but they're very powerful. And so it's just like nothing is happening. And I don't even know, you're talking about, Labour, I don't even know what their policy is.
Well,
the devil's in the details. Yeah. Where are the details?
So maybe Mr Sunak actually realises it can't be done, and that there might be an election coming towards the end of the year, and it's not going to be my problem anyway.
Well,
and once Labour are in, certainly the Tories will have something to kick them about. I mean, I think with everything anyway, once Labour get in, you'll realise, actually, it's so much more difficult when you've got your feet under the table than when you're coupled from the sideline.
Rishi Sunak, when he was Chancellor, didn't even agree with it in any case. He thought Rwanda was a waste of time, so... And now suddenly...
That's politics for you. But the thing is, Dawn, the point I'm trying to make is we cannot stop what is going on. It is just overflowing, and somebody's got to do something. And if that involves breaking the rules, somebody should have the bottle to stand up and do that and break the rules and say, you land in here, just take a step on that plane and we're going to fly you somewhere else. We don't care if it's legal or not. You're not staying in this country.
Suella Braverman was pretty much going down that route, wasn't she? And Priti Patel, they're both going down that route. And
yeah, that'll be OK until they're blood and guts on the other side. Because, actually, you just don't know whether the infrastructure on the other side really can take care of an influx.
But what's that got to do with us? Well, what's that got to do with us? I mean, basically, if this was your house, right, and your front garden and back garden, and people were setting up tents in your front garden or whatever, surely you'd be saying, get off my turf.
But what would happen if you went like that and you chuck them outside? You would have knock, Mr. Policeman, Mr. Inland Security,
I
Mr.
think
somebody.
you'd have an uprising in the country in favour of what people would actually be doing. I think now the numbers are so unsustainable that people have got to say, well, in principle, I was against this, but actually we cannot keep on with this.
We can't.
Our roads can't take it, our schools can't take it, our hospitals can't take it, we can't take it.
And this is illegal migration. We've got 750,000 legal migration on top of it, which is the highest figures we've ever had. Something's got to give. People aren't getting angry about it, Eamonn. That's the thing, and no one's doing anything.
OK, what do you think of this? If you've just woken up and you've got something to say about this, gbviews@gbnews.com. We'd love to hear from you.
Yeah, I mean, this is another scandal here. More than 250 people in England are dying each week because of long waits for A&E care, Chris.
Yeah, this really is, and we can roll up that number, but every single number is a person.
Yeah.
A person that's dying, and read in the article, it's not even the people that are dying in ambulances. It's just those who are in corridors and on
waiting
trolleys.
For beds.
Exactly. And, you know, I've had this experience about when I had this bleeding nose, uncontrolled bleeding nose, and I had to be looked at. After 7 hours, the doctors came and stuck this thing up my nose, and it was so painful. In a corridor, people walking past, and, you know, there's no dignity. No. And I tried to start for because it's very, very painful. It's undignified. Yeah. So, OK, I'm here to tell the tale. I'd rather be here to tell the tale than be one of the persons that dies on the trolley. But nonetheless, this is a crisis that's been there for a very long time. This, again, is nothing new. It's just coming to a head right now because, as your previous contributor, the minister, Mr. Holland, he said there's a massive influx, a massive demand now for the services on a very creaky NHS. It is very worrying.
And junior doctors have been on strike how many times recently? 10 times?
And
again, loads of viewers have emailed in saying surely that's having an impact on this as well.
It will. Yeah, and Mr. Sunak again. I mean, he's absolutely gets hammered everywhere. Last year, he said he's going to give a £1 billion pledge to this issue. Another thing he said that he can't deliver on.
Guys, talking about banning things, it's Eurovision, I think, next week.
Oh, I don't know, God knows.
There's been a call that the British representative should boycott Eurovision to show, because Israel is taking part. And Chris, you will have been down this road with sport before.
Yeah.
Should sport get involved in politics, or should it be used as part of politics? What do you think, Don?
No, definitely.
Well, this is an open letter from Queers for Palestine. Point number one, I don't even understand what queer means anymore. What does it even define? And it's a group of people, mostly lovers, it has to be said. Signing this open letter begging Ollie, what's his name? Our Eurovision representative.
Alexander.
Who's an openly gay man, begging him not to go until Israel is banned from the competition. Fine, they're entitled to do that, no problem with that. Ollie quite rightly has responded and saying pretty much what you have said. No, let's try and keep the two issues separate. Let's try and keep the music separate from the politics. I understand.
Russia's already been banned.
Russia's already... Now, the slight difference is Russia invaded a sovereign state. Israel were defending itself against a terrorist organisation. Now, regardless of what you think of how they're doing it, I think that is the very fine difference.
OK. Again, let's just talk more about this next time when you're back in 40 minutes' time. Chris and Dawn, for the moment, thank you very much indeed.
Thank you very
We look forward to seeing you then. Right now, let's get a weather update on this bank holiday. If you're heading out and about, here's what to expect.
A brighter outlook with Box Solar, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Hello, good morning. Welcome to your latest weather. Over the next few days, it does remain unsettled. We do have rain pushing north today, heavy showers following, but there will be some warm sunshine. We can divide the country into three today. Cloud and rain across this central swathe of the UK. Quite a cold feeling day. To the north of this, fairly cloudy, some bright skies, and then to the south of this, a mixture of sunny spells and scattered showers. Some of them will be heavy, with some hail and thunder in there too. It could be some local disruption. If you are stuck under this area of cloud and rain, it'll be quite cold, temperature 7-8 degrees. But in any sunnier breaks, we could see highs around 13 to 15 degrees, so not feeling too bad. in the sunshine. As we move through into the evening time, further showers across England and Wales, perhaps some longer spells of rain along the south coast for a time. This area of rain continues to push its way northwards into Scotland, Northern Ireland also seeing some spells of rain. During the early hours, some clear spells in between. Windfall night, we could see 1 or 2 mist and fog patches developing. Temperatures a little lower compared to of late, but still largely above freezing. And then it's a mixed day on Tuesday. We'll see a mixture of sunny spells and scattered showers. The showers taking their time to bubble up, some of them on the heavy side at times, but many places across England and Wales staying dry, though turning cloudy. Very cloudy across parts of Scotland here as well. Outbreaks of rain through the day, some hill snow possible too. And temperatures 6 or 7 here, elsewhere 13 or 14.
That warm feeling inside from Boxed Boilers, sponsors of weather on GB News.
The latest GB News travel.
Good morning, I'm Johnny Ratner. Big problems up in Lancashire this morning. The A682 has been closed along the Colne Road through Briarfield at the scene of a collision between Parkview Close and Glen Way. And the M42 remains shut heading south out of Staffordshire down into Warwickshire from junction 10 to 9 from the A5 and the Coleshill exit for accident investigation work. In Lincolnshire, Barrow Road at Barton upon Humber has been closed following a collision, and in East London, the A13 is closed in both directions, just west of the Prince Regent Lane underpass, east of the Canning Town flyover, following an accident at about midnight. Investigation work is still underway. On the other side of London, the A4 at Cranford's closed off the Henleys roundabout following a collision. Trains have been suspended between Carmarthen and Cardiff Central, and there are no long-distance trains running today to and from London Euston. That's the latest.
You can stay up to date throughout the day by visiting our website, gbnews.com.
You could win our biggest prize giveaway so far. First, there's an incredible £10,000 in tax-free cash to spend however you like. Plus, courtesy of Variety Cruises, a bespoke 7-night small boat cruise for 2 worth £10,000. With flights, meals, excursions and drinks included, your next holiday could be on us. Choose any one of their 2025 Greek adventures and find your home at sea. We'll also send you packing with these luxury travel gifts. For a chance to win a prize worth over £20,000, text prize to 63232. Text costs £2 plus 1 standard network rate message, or post your name and number to GB04 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 5 p.m. on the 26th of April. Full terms and privacy notice at gbnews.com/win. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Good morning. It is just coming up to 7 o'clock on Monday, the 1st of April. It's April Fool's and Easter Bank Holiday Monday.
It is.
Anything
both
else?
those things.
I think it might be a few other things as well. But anyway, happy Monday to you.
OK, you're tuned in to Breakfast online, on television, on radio with Eamonn and Ellie.
Now, a shocking insight into the state of the NHS reveals new estimates suggest more than 250 patients a week die needlessly due to long waits in A&E.
A smiling king greets crowds as he begins his return to royal duties yesterday at Windsor Castle.
Despite the government pledging households will be thousands of pounds better off, plenty of price rises are set to take force today, including the BBC licence fee. We'll be debating that at 7:30.
Bad weather, engineering work and a bank holiday means it's likely to be travel chaos for millions as they return home today.
The controversial Scottish hate crime bill comes into force from today as critics are ready to protest.
And a new colourly innovation combining 2 of your favourites, wine and cheese, too good to be true. We'll be looking at that later on.
Happy with the wine, not so much the cheese for me. In the sport this morning, not the spectacle that we all hoped for as Manchester City and Arsenal cancelled each other out. Liverpool are top of the Premier League after beating Brighton, and this is not an April Fool, but the most expensive sporting shorts are up for sale.
Good morning. Today we've got outbreaks of rain. We've also got some heavy showers, perhaps thundery as well, but there'll also be some sunshine. Find out all the weather details coming up soon.
So here we are on April Fool's Day. April Fool's Day spread throughout Britain during the 18th century. So
did it?
17-something or other. And it spread specifically in Scotland, where the tradition became a 2-day event, starting with hunting the gawk. Do you know what a gawk is?
A bird.
It's a bird, and it is a cuckoo bird. That is the a word for a cuckoo bird. A cuckoo is a symbol of foolery, and it was followed by Tally Day, which involved pranks played on people's derrieres, such as pinning fake tails or kick me signs on them. It must have been hilarious to live in those times.
Did you used to have pranks at school? Did you used to play pranks?
Pants.
Pranks?
Oh, pranks.
I bet you had pants at school as well.
Yeah.
Did you used to play pranks on each other all the time? Because boys are quite like that, aren't they? Love to kick on each other.
I mean, April Fool's Day was a big day there, but once you get beyond 10, I think it's sort of the relevance of it isn't really there.
Yeah, it's all the companies. You'll see it all of this morning on your Instagram and X and all those things. They do all these fake adverts, don't they?
Yeah.
It's going to be a long day if you don't like April Fools.
It will be. Coming up to 3 minutes past the hour of 7 o'clock on this April Fool's Day.
Now, Easter travel disruption is going to continue, I'm afraid, as heavy rain is expected to disrupt more than 2 million journeys today.
OK, so the rain is coming back. The motoring organisation, the RAC, predicts that 2 million journeys will be made come today, but the roads will be jammed-packed as planned rail engineering works across the country means no trains trying to get many back from the long weekend.
Well, GB News' South East of England reporter Ray Addison is at Euston Station for us this morning. How's it looking there this morning, Ray?
Well, very, very heavily disrupted, it has to be said. Of course, this is one of London's biggest stations. It sees around 9 million people pass through its doors every single year. And due to that major engineering work which has been taking place throughout this Easter weekend, there are no trains in or out of Euston today. That's except for London Overground services, so some services for Londoners here. But the routes affected are Avanti West Coast and London North Western Railway. So if you're travelling or wanted to travel to Euston from Birmingham, Wolverhampton, Liverpool, Manchester, Blackpool, Lancaster, Milton Keynes, Northampton, Coventry, Crewe, Glasgow and finally Edinburgh, you are completely out of luck. There are no trains coming into Euston today. Now, of course, there are some rail replacement buses in place at some parts of the country. However, when you combine that into the problems we're going to be seeing the footfall at the airports and, of course, the ferry delays and increased traffic on the motorways, in part due to the fact that you can't get on some train services over this weekend and obviously today, that is going to be a big problem for commuters. Network Rail has apologised and said that this maintenance and improvement work that they're carrying out is vital to keeping the railway running safely and improving performance. They're spending around £13.5 million actually this weekend across the northwest and central region. This is work on HS2 preparation, track improvements, drainage and the like. However, we'll see the benefits of that in the future, but right now, for people trying to travel into Euston, into London, from some of those areas, they are going to be significantly affected and out of luck.
OK, Ray Addison, thank you so much for bringing us up to date there at London Euston Station.
OK, if you have any travel to report, get in touch with us this morning, gbviews@gbnews.com, and don't make it an April Fool. Yeah. Let's have a look at some other stories coming into the newsroom on this Monday morning.
And new childcare plans come into force today. Eligible parents and carers of 2-year-olds will now be entitled to 15 hours of funded childcare a week. It's the first part of an £8 billion package announced in the 2023 budget that the government hopes will support working parents. However, the Labour Party have criticised the government, saying they have a pledge without a plan.
The average household water and sewage bill is set to increase by 6% today. It comes as water companies are being accused of environmental vandalism by the Lib Dems, amongst others, as they reveal there was an almost 50% rise in sewage discharges over the past year.
Anti-government protests have broken out in Jerusalem in a series of planned demonstrations until Tuesday. Tens of thousands of people were urging the government to reach a ceasefire deal to free the dozens of hostages held in Gaza by Hamas. They're also calling on the government to hold an early election, which is not due to happen until the spring of 2026.
Scottish Government's controversial new hate crime law comes into effect today. First passed in 2021, the Act has consolidated existing hate crime legislation and created a new offence for threatening or abusive behaviour intended to stir up hatred based on prejudice. However, the legislation has raised concerns about a threat to free speech, with prominent critics including J.K. Rowling, Joe Rogan and Elon Musk.
Now, we've been talking about the Easter travel disruption. 2 million journeys expected to be made today. But it's not just the trains where travel chaos is expected today. Those 2 million car journeys are expected to be taken today. So how is it looking on the roads? Well, let's go to the M25 now, where GB News reporter Theo Jakomba is there for us. How's it looking there, Theo? Not too bad by the looks of things.
Yeah, well, it's still very early. Many people who are expected to be on the roads today will be getting into their cars. Already some of them, we can see them here on the M25. Now, on a normal day, the M25 itself accounts for around 15% of all road users, and around 200,000 people use the M25 every single day. And that's expected to be even more, as many people are either returning back home following their Easter getaway, and others are going away, actually, because this time of the year also coincides with school holidays. Lots of children around the country will now be off school for around 2 weeks. Now, just to give you the latest update on the roads today, the M42 in Warwickshire is closed southbound on junction 10 and junction 9, so people are being advised to plan their journey in advance if they are looking to use that route. So that is one area. Long delays are also expected on the M5 towards Somerset and on the M6 in Cheshire and Greater Manchester. Now, the RAC, the motoring company, saying they're expecting around 14 million people on the roads throughout this Easter holiday period, and that's set to be continuing today, as it's one of the busiest days as people are travelling around the country.
Thanks, Theo. Appreciate it. Lovely to see the sunrise coming up there. Yeah,
makes a difference.
Getting
going forward.
brighter at night and in the morning now. This is lovely to see.
Very welcome.
Yeah.
And hopefully it's nice weather as well today. It doesn't look too bad out there, does it, so far?
Apparently.
Oh,
don't pin your hopes on it. Here's Greg Dewhurst. He'll put you the picture.
A brighter outlook with Box Solar, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Hello, good morning. Welcome to your latest weather. Over the next few days, it does remain unsettled. We do have rain pushing north today, heavy showers following, but there will be some warm sunshine. We can divide the country into three today. Cloud and rain across this central swathe of the UK. Quite a cold feeling day. To the north of this, fairly cloudy, some bright skies, and then to the south of this, a mixture of sunny spells and scattered showers. Some of them will be heavy, with some hail and thunder in there too. It could be some local disruption. If you are stuck under this area of cloud and rain, it'll be quite cold, temperatures 7-8 degrees. But in any sunnier breaks, we could see highs around 13 to 15 degrees, so not feeling too bad in the sunshine. As we move through into the evening time, further showers across England and Wales, perhaps some longer spells of rain along the south coast for a time. This area of rain continues to push its way northwards into Scotland, Northern Ireland also seeing some spells of rain. During the early hours, some clear spells in between. Winds fall light, we could see 1 or 2 mist and fog patches developing. Temperatures a little lower compared to of late, but still largely above freezing. And then it's a mixed day on Tuesday. We'll see a mixture of sunny spells and scattered showers. The showers taking their time to bubble up, some of them on the heavy side at times, but many places across England and Wales staying dry, though turning cloudy. Very cloudy across parts of Scotland here as well. Outbreaks of rain through the day, some hill snow possible too. And temperatures 6 or 7 here, elsewhere 13 or 14.
That warm feeling inside from Boxed Boilers, sponsors of weather on GB News.
We're going to Scotland now. New laws to tackle the harm caused by hatred and prejudice come into force there today. This is the Hate Crime and Public Order Act, and it extends racial hatred offence protections to people prejudiced against on the basis of their age, whatever all that means, disability, religion, sexual orientation and transgender identity. I think there's more trouble with religious discrimination in Scotland than any of those other things. But anyway, campaigners are expected to protest at the Act outside Scottish Parliament today.
Well, let's cross live now to GB News Scotland reporter Tony Maguire, who's in Edinburgh for us. Very good morning to you, Tony. As this bill comes into force today, but as we just heard, we are actually expecting protests.
Indeed, good morning to both of you. Certainly, we're going to see a protest around 1:30 here today. Now, this bill really can be traced all the way back to essentially the tail end of the last decade, where a former Justice Secretary by the name of Humza Yousaf put this plan in motion for the Hate Crime and Public Order Act. Now, on paper, this bill is supposed to protect people with certain characteristics, and as you mentioned there, extend the various protections in terms of race-related hatred towards things like transgender identity, age, sexuality, and so on. Now, understandably, this has received quite a lot of criticism over the years, and that criticism has been stretched far-reaching from the church, who is concerned about how they can progress with various campaigning projects in and around the church, from Police Scotland, who only a few weeks ago had said publicly that they no longer had the resources to investigate every crime. However, they have committed to investigating every single report that is made against this new act, which comes in today. Quite a lot of concern has also been raised by the gender-critical feminist movement. Of course, some of the more prolific members of that movement include J.K. Rowling and Joanna Cherry, QC, who is SNP MP down in Westminster. They're concerned that there will be quite a large outpouring of malicious reports in terms of people targeting perhaps just people that they don't like, and of course the police would be forced to follow up on them. Now, it does seem to be Humza Yousaf on Friday there, he came out and said that any vexatious reports, Police Scotland are no stranger to handling them, and that actually in this case it wouldn't be any different. However, as we mentioned, at about 1:30 today, there's going to be a huge protest outside Holyrood, where I am just now. That's organised by a Facebook group called Glasgow Cabby, a faceless organisation or a faceless member of Facebook, but certainly carries quite a lot of weight up here when it comes to political activism. He was involved quite heavily around this time last year, following the Gender Recognition Reform Bill and the various protests that came along with that. We understand that today, a pastor who actually had the pleasure of speaking to on Saturday, he's going to be speaking at the protest today about the church's concerns, and we're also going to hear quite a bit from For Women Scotland, who are obviously concerned that any of the points that they raise against the kind of transgender activism, they are going to be speaking today at the protest. So lots happening here today outside Holyrood.
What are you picking up, Tony, as to the feeling on all of this? You talk about the taxi protester there and the religious people and whatever, but it sounds increasingly like a police state. I mean, Ella and I were talking here. You're not obviously allowed to have a view that's different than anybody else's. You're not allowed to express a view. It's going to lead to more timid, more bland people. It's like the way television is nowadays. You switch on, I could name all the programmes, but the presenters don't say anything. They're risk adverse. There's no commentating on anything. It's just, I mean, is it a better world? Is it really a better world for all this legislation?
Well, certainly I'm not really the right person to answer that, but you don't want to take my word for it. Speaking to people in Glasgow on Saturday, they said that everybody is just starting to get scared, a bit careful about what they're saying. Some people just calling it outright maddening. And certainly, the thing that I've been thinking about as well is, we have one of the biggest arts festivals in the world here. And over the last decade, I've interviewed hundreds of comedians who are part of that Fringe Festival, and sometimes just to get bums on seats, as it were, they'll look to the more risky humour. They'll have to think twice about that, and there's going to be a lot of acts at the festivals and indeed even just online and promotion who are going to have to think twice about how they promote their shows.
Gotcha. And just before we leave you, Tony, we had Theo Chicumba on the M25 before we came to you, where the sun was rising over the M25, and we see where you are. It's obviously 20 minutes or so behind light dawning anywhere else. I mean, that's the way you will have always known it in Scotland, the way I knew it in Belfast. We used to have to go, at one stage they didn't turn the clocks back, and we had to go to school in the dark, the way it was. But there is a difference in light time there, isn't there?
Yes, there absolutely is, and you're right, it's about 20 minutes, as quite often, especially in the winter months, I'm keen to come out to the great British public on television as early as possible, but sometimes there are restrictions, and indeed, we've got a big overcast sky to contend with today as well. It certainly sounds like Theo has won the lottery in the weather this morning.
OK, mate, thank you very much indeed. Have a good day today. Thank you very much. No, but that is the case. The further north you go, the longer it takes to get brighter. But then at night, in the summer, in Scotland, it can be bright until 11 o'clock at night.
Lovely. So when you're enjoying a wine in the garden, you get that extra time.
Yeah, all that extra time.
Well, that works out.
Right. Talking about extra time, going on a holiday and sunshine and nice things, here's our Great British Giveaway.
Yes, you may have already got a holiday booked for this year, but what about next year? Well, it could be on us. You could win a bespoke Greek cruise for two in our brand new giveaway. Not only that,
£10,000 in cash and then a luxury travel gift package as well. It's our biggest giveaway so far collectively. And if you're interested, here's how you could win.
With thanks to Variety Cruises, a family company sailing since 1942, you have the chance to win a £10,000 7-night small boat cruise for two. With flights, meals, excursions and drinks included, you'll be able to choose from any one of their 2025 Greek adventures and explore Greece like never before. Plus, you'll also win £10,000 in tax-free cash to make your summer sizzle. And we'll pack you off with these luxury travel gifts. For a chance to win a prize worth over £20,000, text WIN to 63232. Text costs £2 plus one standard network rate message. Or post your name and number to GB04 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrants must be 18 or over. Lines close at 5 p.m. on the 26th of April. Full terms and privacy notice at gbnews.com/win. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Right, good luck with that. Good luck paying your television licence fee. It's gone up by a tenner today. Still to come. Is it set to rise? And with new entertainment options, should that fee be capped, scrapped, reduced? Tell us what you think next.
I'm Simon Evans, and this is GB News, Britain's news channel.
I think the most exciting bit for me is talking to people.
People who I think are ignored often by the major news channels. We're going to give news they want to hear. There's a voice there that needs to be heard. I think there's a chance here for a diversity of opinion to be expressed, which you don't find elsewhere. It's really exciting.
We don't hold back. We're free to say how decisions that are taken here
affect us all around the country. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
I'm Christopher Hope.
And I'm Gloria Di Piero, bringing you
PMQ's live here on GB News.
Whenever Parliament is in session on a Wednesday at midday, we'll bring you live coverage of Prime Minister's questions. We'll be asking our viewers and listeners to submit the questions that they would like to put to the Prime Minister, and we'll put that to our panel of top politicians in our Westminster studio.
That's PMQ's live here on GB News, Britain's election channel.
Join me, Camilla Tominey, every Sunday at 9:30 when I'll be interviewing the key players in British politics and taking them to task.
This report basically says that he's not fit to stand trial.
With an upcoming election looming over Westminster, now is the time for clear, honest answers.
I agree.
And that's precisely what I'll get.
Is he indecisive? Incompetent?
That's the Camilla Tominey Show at 9:30 every Sunday on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's election channel.
I'm Michelle Dewberry, and I'm not here to tell you what to think. I'd much rather hear what you have to say. So, send in your opinions to gbviews@gbnews.com. Keep them clean, and you never know, I might read them out. With my panel here on Jubes & Co, we debate, we get stuck into the issues of the day on a show where all views are welcome, especially yours. GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Every Sunday from 11, join Michael Portillo.
There will be topical discussion, looking at the week before and the week to come. So kick back and relax at 11 a.m. on Sundays on GB News with me, Michael Portillo. GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
I'm Andrew Doyle. Join me at 7 o'clock every Sunday night for Free Speech Nation, the show where I tackle the week's biggest stories in politics and current affairs with the help of my two comedian panellists and a variety of special guests.
Free Speech Nation, Sunday nights from 7 on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
I'm Nigel Farage, and this is GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Your BBC licence fees going up today, £169.50, and a lot of hoo-ha about all of this. So that's what we're going to talk about. I'm doing that now in the company of Andrew Allison. Andrew's the Chief Executive of the Freedom Association, and he's anti this rise. And there's Dennis McShane, former Labour MP and Minister of State for Europe. And Dennis, you think actually all things considered, at £169.50, what we pay for the BBC's not bad value?
Indeed. I mean, it's about 45p a day. For that, we get an extraordinary world-influencing organisation. I mean, things come and go in politics in Britain, but the BBC is probably, with the monarchy, the most admired British institution around the world. I have to say I was a graduate trainee after university, so I'm a little bit biased, but they fired me, so just put it right. Yeah,
why did they fire you?
Oh, the usual. Yeah. It represents a country, it brings a country together with the monarchy to a large extent. It does us football, it does us news, it drives people mad, drives me mad because it's very pro-Brexit. It's a very anti-European outfit now. It always was beginning. The Today programme before 2016 was like Radio Daily Mail. People think the BBC was run by The Guardian. I worked there as a current affairs producer, I mean, as a kid. All they read was the Daily Telegraph and the Daily Mail. The Guardian's got long words, and BBC guys aren't too good on long words. Yeah. So in general, it does sport wonderfully. It covers, the coverage of women's football on the BBC. There's no other broadcasting network in Europe. I've just come back from France last night. I know Europe, as you know, gives remotely the same service as the BBC for so little.
OK. Andrew, what would you say, having heard all that Dennis had to say there?
Well, I don't even recognise that particular organisation, and the idea that the BBC is somehow pro-Brexit, I think is for the birds. But for me, it comes down to choice. If I want to watch GB News on a morning, I have to pay for the BBC because I have to pay a television licence to watch any form of live television. And I also think that it's clinging on to this analogue funding system in a digital world. I mean, I'm 53 years old now, and the only thing that I really watch live is news, it's sport and special events such as the coronation last year. But everything else I watch on demand, and I watch very, very little BBC content, but I do watch a lot of things on YouTube, for example. So I think people should be allowed to have a choice.
Right, so you should be allowed to opt in or opt out. Why can't he do that, Dennis?
You can do that, but most democracies, not America to be fair, which is often cited. I mean, the model is Rupert Murdoch, and we've seen what's happened under Fox News to American democracy. Here we have some balance, and it's true in just about every other European, Japan, other countries. Sometimes the licence fee comes on your electricity bill. Here it's a straightforward fee we pay once a year. As I say, it's about 45p a day. Just read me out any newspaper price in front of you. You've got them there. They are.
£2.80.
That's right. I mean, I like reading the Times every day. It's a darn sight more expensive than the BBC. Instead of trashing it, we should be proud of Britain. That's what upsets me. All these people who are anti-BBC are actually anti-British.
Right.
You see, Dennis...
Oh, that's rubbish. Oh, come on, that's absolute rubbish. I'm not anti-BBC. I'm just pro-choice. I just want people to be allowed to make a decision on whether they want to fund the BBC or not. And it's all right saying 45 pence a day, but, you know, that's 45 pence a day that I'm forced to pay for the BBC. Whereas if I want to buy a copy of the Times, you're right, it will cost £2.80. That's a decision that I can make.
I don't drive a car. I'm forced to pay for your motorways, Andrew. I don't mind that because we're.
I think I pay a heck of a lot of money. I pay a heck of a lot of money in fuel tax.
Don't let me tell you something. One thing I learned to the BBC a long time ago, before you were born, you're a very young man, I'm glad to see you on television, was cutting across what other people are saying on TV or radio is always a disaster for the person doing it. So I just make the point again, it is something around the world which Britain is best known for. And the idea of defunding it, because that's what it is, defunding the police, say the left, defunding something else, say others, and you on the right say defund the BBC. When it works, we need to defund the monarchy. There'll be some support for that on the left, I'm sure. It is something Britain should be proud of, and we should stop rubbishing it and saying that take away its core raison d'etre, and the only way that we can fund it sensibly to cover all the odds and sods they show. I don't watch 99% of BBC output, but I'm glad it's there in Wales, in Scotland, in local radio stations all over the world, correspondents reporting.
Well, you just used a word there, local. Andrew, if I could just point out something, if you were to pay for the full Sky package, which would also include Netflix and full fibre broadband, it would cost you £456 a year. And you're not getting anything local on that, nothing. And my worry is local journalism, local coverage of, you know, whether you live in Scotland, Wales, Northern Ireland, England, regionally, nationally, whatever. None of these other companies, your Netflixes, your Disney Pluses, whatever, care two hoots about what's going on locally.
Well, I agree that they don't, and local journalism does concern me. And I've got friends who've worked in local BBC radio who've lost their presenting roles. But I think it's all to do with priorities. Local journalism could be funded through some form of central pot, funded through general taxation. That's perfectly possible. Well, it could be. We could explore possibilities there, Dennis. But the BBC can afford. Well, now you're talking over me, aren't you? But you know, this could be done. But the BBC is keen to pay £1.5 million a year thereabouts to Gary Lineker for presenting a football highlights package. But it's willing to take away funding from BBC local radio. So it's all about priorities.
Well, I don't object to that. I think we should all have a national vote once a year on which BBC presenters we want to pay lots of money to. So that would be a kicker. There you are, Tim Davey. Make that would be quite a popular call.
Good proposal. Dennis McShane, Andrew Allison, thank you both very much indeed. You watching and listening at home, gbviews@gbnews.com. Let us know what you think.
Yeah, should the BBC licence be axed? Do let us know. Do stay with us. Coming up, Paul Coit is going to be here with all the sport.
The latest GB News travel. Good morning, I'm Johnny Ratner. On the A1M up in South Yorkshire, the southbound exit stays closed to junction 37, the Marturn off north of Doncaster after a lorry shed its load in the early hours. And the M42 remains shut from Staffordshire into Warwickshire, junction 10 to 9 up in the A5 and the Coleshill exits. Investigation works taking place following a serious crash that happened late last night. Derbyshire, the A57 remains shut in Glossop and Lady Bower Reservoir for accident investigation work. West London, the A4 at Cranford is closed off the Henleys roundabout following a serious collision, and the M4 is partly blocked westbound 26 to 27 heading away from Newport where a vehicle's broken down. Trains are suspended. Carmarthen to Cardiff Central, electrical supply problems at Bridgend to blame, and there are no long distance trains to and from London Euston today for engineering work. And that's the latest.
You can stay up to date throughout the day by visiting our website gbnews.com.
Join me, Camilla Tominey, every Sunday at 9:30 when I'll be interviewing the key players in British politics and taking them to task.
This report basically says that he's not fit to stand trial.
With an upcoming election looming over Westminster, now is the time for clear, honest answers.
I agree.
And that's precisely what I'll get.
Is he indecisive? Incompetent?
That's the Camilla Tominey Show at 9:30 every Sunday on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's election channel.
I'm Michelle Dewberry, and I'm not here to tell you what to think. I'd much rather hear what you have to say. So send in your opinions to gbviews@gbnews.com. Keep them clean, and you never know, I might read them out. With my panel here on Jubes & Co, we debate, we get stuck into the issues of the day on a show where all views are welcome, especially yours. GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
2024, a battleground year.
The year the nation decides.
As the parties gear up their campaigns for the next general election.
Who will be left standing when the British people make one of the biggest decisions of their lives?
Who will rise?
And who will fall? Let's find out together.
For every moment, the highs, the lows, the twists and turns.
We'll be with you for every step of this journey.
In 2024, GB News is Britain's election channel.
Big news, big debates, big opinion. Patrick Christie's Tonight is the week's biggest show. Every weekday, 9 to 11 p.m, we've got the inside track on the day's top stories. There'll be sharp takes you won't get anywhere else. We will set the news agenda, not just follow it, and I want to bring you along for the ride. Whatever it is, we'll have our finger on the pulse. It's news, but it's this close to entertainment. Patrick Christie's Tonight, 9 to 11 p.m, only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Top of the English Premier League, going to talk about that now with Paul Coit here. Man City, Arsenal yesterday. The difference was, I just thought Arsenal neutralised not just Man City, but Eric Haaland. That was the big difference.
Erling, yeah. I mean, that's what they went up to do, wasn't it? You could see that. They didn't go up there to try and win the game. Because they've been beaten, they've been soundly beaten every time they've been up there and thought, OK, we'll defend. They defended really, really well. But 0-0. I mean, we all expected a spectacle and it wasn't really that.
What does it tell us about the top of the table? Liverpool won yesterday. They sit top, then Arsenal, then City. Does it make anything any clearer?
I don't think it does. I was just thinking, can I work anything out from this? Liverpool on 67 and Arsenal on 65, Manchester City on 64. They've all played the same amount of games. I think we've got, 8 and 9 to go. I really don't know. Who's your... Well, where do you think it's going to go?
I always thought City.
Yeah. I don't think they're as good as they were last time. This is about the time of the year when City then just go unbeaten. But
mate, they've had injury problems and whatever, but you look and they are just a machine. They play like a machine, they really do. But
Liverpool have injuries. Arsenal up on the right. I mean, it's the three-horse race, so we'll just have to see how things go. But Liverpool beat Brighton yesterday. Brighton scored very, very early, too early. It's all really great. You think, oh, great, we've got a goal at Anfield after 70 seconds.
Man United have got Liverpool next Sunday.
Oh, dear.
Yeah.
I mean,
What do you mean, oh, dear?
We'll see how things go. I mean, Man United weren't good against Brentford.
In Scotland, Rangers have Celtic next week.
They do.
Celtic 1 point ahead. Top
yes, they are. They beat Livingston 3-0. We want to mention Celtic because, again, that is a real battle on the top of the Scottish Premiership. Celtic are on 74, Rangers on 73. Rangers still have a game in hand. Old Firm derby at the weekend. So always a ding-dong, and it's going to be another one as well. Also, talking of ding-dongs, Arsenal and Chelsea's women's game yesterday. It was in the Conti Cup final, the Continental Cup final, which is the League Cup final. Now, there was one really worrying thing that happened. Frida Manum, who plays for Arsenal, collapsed on the pitch. We've seen too much of this, haven't we? I mean, but anyway, there we are, and we don't know what happened. All we do, I mean, it's a hugely worrying thing if any player, anybody just collapses. But anyway, it was during stoppage time. The Arsenal have released a statement about that, saying Frida's conscious. This was straight afterwards. Stable condition. She'll continue to be monitored closely by a medical team. Thank goodness she's OK. We don't know any more about it, why, what have you. But she was OK. But Emma Hayes and Jonas Eidevall, the two managers of the sides, there was a bit of argy-bargy between the two of them. Oh. So Jonas, who is the Arsenal manager, and Emma Hayes, legendary Chelsea manager, going off to look after the American women's team at the end of the season. So there was a multi-ball problem. You know when they get the ball out quickly, if they want to get the ball... And so Chelsea didn't want lots of balls. Arsenal did. And then when Chelsea were losing, then they said, oh, yeah, we want the ball on quickly. Anyway, she accused Eidevall of male aggression to how he treated one of her players. He then accused her of being a bad loser. She pushed past him. It was all a bit of argy-bargy. It was a bit of argy-bargy that went on. It was Arsenal that won the game, won the cup.
1975, indeed, in the early 70s, Thrillers in Manila. Thriller Manila, and this was Muhammad Ali against Joe Frazier.
Joe Frazier, third fight.
I remember the excitement around it. Why is it back in the news?
It's his shorts. It's his shorts. It's Muhammad Ali's shorts. There they are. There's the shorts. There were the two greatest Muhammad Ali fights ever. Everybody knows, probably names as the Rumble in the Jungle, which was George Foreman in Kinshasa.
He lost that one.
He won that because that was the famous rope-a-dope. And the rope-a-dope, which is where he soaked up a lot of punishment, and everybody think, what's going to happen? Muhammad Ali's going to get killed here, and then soaked it up. And then tired him out. He did the same thing in the Thriller in Manila against Joe Frazier. It was the third fight between the two of them. It's one of the greatest fights of all time, without doubt, from 1975. So the shorts that he wore in that fight are actually up for auction.
How much are they expected to go for?
Ellie, how much would you pay for Muhammad Ali's shorts from 1975? There was this amazing thing, 1975, there was over 1 billion viewers. And instead, obviously no satellite TV in those days, people went out to cinemas because they were beamed into cinemas. Wow. 1 billion viewers. And it was 10 a.m. local time as well. So the time difference would work out. And it was like over 120 degrees in the ring. And it was just unbelievable. So anyway, back to the shorts. I gave you some thinking time on the shorts.
I wouldn't part with a lot of cash for that, maybe £10.
10 quid for a pair of shorts.
10 quid.
And you want the boots as well, and the gloves.
But crazy people would pay millions, right?
They would pay millions, yeah.
How many?
We're looking at $6 million. $6 million.
5 million quid.
5 million quid, but they are legendary shorts.
Dirty shorts.
They're signed by Ali as well.
Used shorts.
Would you wear the shorts?
No. Yeah.
You know what? They're probably the most expensive sporting shorts we've seen, apart from these ones. So apart from those, they're probably...
Maybe if we could get rid of the strap. Put the strap back up.
Not the jock strap, we mean the thing along the bottom. But the thing is, though, is that they're much smaller than the Ali shorts.
They're the tiniest shorts I've ever seen.
It was the style those days.
It was.
Boxers.
But I tell you what, I'm not being funny.
Or was I even wearing the shorts?
They look like briefs, yeah.
I'm not being funny, Eamonn, but you've got better legs than Muhammad Ali. Look at those.
We'll have to, that has to come with a warning next time you show that. Dear.
Oh, that's so good.
There we are.
Oh, gosh. It's maybe a bit hot under the collar there, Eamonn, I've got to tell you.
Eamonn's short shorts.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Now, still to come, we'll be looking at what's making the news in the papers with Dawn Neeson and Chris Akabusi. That's next.
Jubes & Co. Weekdays from 6 p.m.
This story caught my eye. Lloyds Bank, right, they own the insurance company Scottish Widows. They have now issued some kind of suggested guidance about which word to try and avoid upsetting people or perhaps be as inclusive as possibly can be. One of these words is widows, which really caught my eye because of the amount of stupidity. If you own a brand literally called Scottish Widows, you can't then be saying that the word widows is triggering and offensive. Anyway, because it is so ludicrous, I need to move over from that part because I want to talk about the broader issue. So many organisations, they have what they call ESG. I'm going to bring a graphic up on the screen in case you're not familiar with what this is. But it's a sense of kind of government, and I would say it's almost like a spine. It underpins so much of what business does today. It stands for environmental, social and governance. And it's around things like how does a business perform when it comes to their environmental impact? How diverse are their employees? How diverse is their board? And so on and so forth. Do you think ESG is a force for good and much needed within business or not, Ben?
It is the introduction of systemic institutionalised prejudice in the United Kingdom, which is going to damage dreadfully our economy, but also our culture, our cohesion as a society, and it's undermining, again, coming back to it, the nation-state that is the United Kingdom. ESG has to be ditched.
Strong words. Judita, do you agree with him?
I don't agree, because I think that with ESG, when you have them, what you're having an increase in is specialists in ESG being introduced into companies to kind of imbricate it into how the company functions. If you're moving in a direction of making your company's functionality be optimized in a way that is inclusive of anyone from any background who has the qualifications to occupy that position, that is a good thing.
Join me, Camilla Tominey, every Sunday at 9:30 when I'll be interviewing the key players in British politics and taking them to task.
This report basically says that he's not fit to stand trial.
With an upcoming election looming over Westminster, now is the time for clear, honest answers.
I agree.
And that's precisely what I'll get.
Is he indecisive? Incompetent?
That's the Camilla Tominey Show at 9:30 every Sunday on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's election channel.
I'm Michelle Dewberry, and I'm not here to tell you what to think. I'd much rather hear what you have to say. So send in your opinions to gbviews@gbnews.com. Keep them clean, and you never know, I might read them out. With my panel here on Jubes & Co, we debate, we get stuck into the issues of the day on a show where all views are welcome, especially yours. GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Welcome back. The time is 7:43. You are watching Breakfast, and we're joined by Dawn Newsom and Chris Akabusi to go through the newspapers with us this morning. And Dawn, should we talk about Eurovision, which is in The Guardian this morning?
Yes, it will. Yeah, certainly. This is Britain's Eurovision competitor.
It's the Saturday night, isn't it?
It's in May in Malmo in Sweden.
No. All right.
I think, okay. Yep. So, obviously, I'm an expert on Eurovision. But, I mean, Ollie is in with a chance of winning. It's actually quite a good tune for
Really?
once.
Is he? We always come in like this and we feel hopeful.
Well, it is quite a good tune. I quite like it. It's a bit of a club-style banger.
OK.
But there's a letter, an open letter gone in to him from 450 queer artists who are asking for him to boycott the situation because Israel are taking part in the situation between Israel and the genocide in Gaza. And he has quite rightly responded that music should be a unifying thing rather than a dividing thing, and we should be, you know, me pulling out is not going to make a blind bit of difference to what Israel are doing, so we should all be concentrating on working together to solve this situation, but Eurovision isn't the vehicle to do it.
But it's meant to be non-political, isn't it?
Yeah, right, good luck with that one.
Yeah.
I mean, the bottom line is we're probably not going to win it because we are Britain or UK, and Israel are certainly not going to win it because no one's going to vote for them, are they?
No. No.
So, but the whole thing is this. I mean, it's 450, mostly lovers, Ellie. I don't even understand what queer means anymore. I understand the old thing that everyone can be queer these days. And they are... And I just would like you, right, OK, to go and try be Queers for Palestine in Palestine. See how far you get. And why don't we have Queers Against Hamas, who started this back in the day by going into Israel and, as we know, raping and murdering, and there are still 150 hostages?
Well, I sort of feel if he doesn't go into this, Chris, he loses, but no one else seems to lose. I would think, if he doesn't enter.
Sorry, I was just blanked. I'll get him ready for the next story.
We're talking about Eurovision and if it should be...
Look, I think what was said is this, just like in sport and politics don't mix, music and politics don't mix. You know, war that's going on in Gaza is awful, but it's got nothing to do with these guys singing on stage. So off you go, do your bit, and let's hope someone votes for us.
No, look, what is going on in Palestine is horrific. It needs to stop. I mean, it is just awful. So many people losing their lives. No one's arguing against that. No one's saying that that's a good thing. But will Ollie Alexander not taking part in the Eurovision
make any difference?
No.
Chris, you want to talk about council tax for second homes?
Yes, that's right. So Michael Gove wants to introduce this idea of second home owners having an increase of 80% on their council tax for their second homes.
Well, see, here's my question about this. Where does that money go? Who is it benefiting, if anybody?
Well, it'll raise revenue for the councils, the local councils. So give the local councils opportunity to, you know, you mentioned in the previous one about potholes. You know, the roads are awful. I mean, there are so many things. Many of our councils are going bankrupt, Birmingham being a great example last year. So I understand the desire to sort of raise funds, but this is also decimating the Tory voters, because, of course, most people with second homes may or may not want to be voting Tory. And certainly Sir Ian Duncan-Smith thinks that this is definitely not a very good idea. But I was interested to read later on in the Telegraph that actually Mr Gove might be planting a little seed that blows up when Labour gets in, because it's not until April 2025. And you can imagine when that comes in April 2025, all of a sudden, voters not liking Mr Starmer and the tax rises that are going up. So I think it might be a little bit of slyness by Mr Gove, thinking, I'm going to put a little exit bomb.
Chris, Guy Ritchie, the producer-director, he's got a great series on Netflix called The Gentleman. You're watching it, Ellie, as well, aren't you?
Great series.
I think it's very, very good. And as a result, the style from this show and shows like it are increasingly motivating people to emulate a sort of English upper-class style, caps and tweeds and all that sort of thing.
Is that my story?
No, it's not your story, but I'm asking your opinion.
Would you wear tweed or a flat cap?
He does!
Did you see me coming in?
No.
He came in flat cap.
I came in a lovely little flat cap, tweed flat cap. Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. No, I love that sort of stuff. Oh, absolutely.
It's golfing in
Are you pulling my proverbial?
I'm not sure I would go that far. I always feel a bit... See, a cap means something different to me. It's like flat cap, you know. It's
you know what? So, I mean, I've been wearing flat caps since I was 30.
I don't think a pseudo cap, no.
Yeah, but because
I think you would.
It's like, you know, quintessential country gentleman.
I've worn it at Cheltenham before, and I'm not sure I liked it.
I love the old green and check blazers, and I love all that sort of stuff. Oh, I do.
Right.
It's brilliant.
Well, Dawn, what have you got to say on this?
I actually, given the date today, am slightly suspicious of this story.
Oh, you're good.
Look at him. Look at him. Look, he's very naughty. Look at that smile. He was pulling my chain. Yeah. No, you don't. You're pulling my chain, mate. Yeah. I was going with you, though. I was going with you. I love the idea.
I mean, you've lost me. Is this an April Fool?
Of course it's an April Fool, mate. Yeah, of course it's an April Fool.
I don't know, but, you know, I edited newspapers for a very long time, and it feels like the kind of April Fool the Guardian would do.
Oh,
But
my
I mean, I
God.
like a man in a flat cap. I just want to say that. Put that out
What, anything
there.
else? Anything else or just a flat cap?
Tweed as well. Tweed jacket.
You see, if that's a spoof, it's not a very good one because it's very believable.
Yeah,
it is such a good series, and with the people who star in it, they do set style and whatever. And
I don't know that it might be true.
But people have done it all the time, though, because it's nothing new. I mean, people have done it all the time. A lot of black guys have worn flat caps and stuff, you know. It's like rocking the reggae scene. Yeah.
It's heritage checks and tweed, sharp tailoring and expensive watches, Chris.
Yeah, absolutely.
Look at you.
Just described how Chris came in.
Oh,
It's basically Chris
that's right. That's what I thought. Yeah, you pull him off chain because I just walked in like that.
No.
Oh dear. Dawn, this one's caught my eye. National Trust has secretly made all of their scones, depends how you pronounce that, vegan.
I'm going to prefix pretty much every story.
Do you reckon
on
this
here.
is an April Fool?
Well, yeah, it could be. I don't know. But this is page 3 of the Daily Mail, and the headline says it's no joke. National Trust secretly makes all of its scones vegan. Basically, you know, they've been a bit woke recently, haven't they, the National Trust? They're using vegetable-based spread instead of butter in the baking of the virtual signalling betrayal, according to some. This is Daily Mail. Daily Mail, remember. And people aren't happy. It's got 280 cafes, and they are failing to protect a piece of British heritage. It's a scone. Get over it.
See, I don't
Can
care.
you even taste the difference?
Well, I think if you can, then I do care. If you can't, do what you want.
Well,
with
I
a
mean,
scone.
I don't know. I haven't tried them, but I mean, you know.
Well, I'll be very annoyed if this is a spoof. This story. I am, because I mean, people talk about mainstream news and believing what's on the news and whatever it is, and I think this is very important. That we, for instance, shouldn't be used as vehicles to peddle stuff that isn't true and make out that it is true.
All the time, in the long, long time I've worked on news, I hated April Fools, and when I was editing, I refused to do them for like, you know.
I don't find them funny.
No, I don't. That's the problem. I don't think they're funny at all. And with the mad way the world is at the moment, it's really difficult to work out what is fact or fiction in any case.
Right, we'll go back to our April Fool correspondent and see what he's got now. What is... I'm completely lost.
Have you seen this? Well, so I was all in this next story, the NASA astronauts. I was absolutely all in. I'm thinking to myself, first time we've gone to the moon since 1972. These guys are going to go up there, they're going to have a lovely little greenhouse, they're going to grow all these plants. I thought, this is amazing. They're actually serious. They actually think about cultivating it, so we haven't got to take our vegetation up there when our astronauts go up there. And then I looked at Dawn and going, yeah, and this is brilliant. And she looked at me like, mate, ching, 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 ching.
Sorry.
Yeah.
I don't know.
But look, and a great picture there. I mean, of the man.
Come on.
Yeah.
Picture might give it away.
Yeah, Matt Damon, Matt Damon, exactly. I'm thinking, I'm having some of that. Yeah. I'm as green as grass, mate. Don't worry about that.
Yeah, Matt Damon was a botanist on the moon, and you thought, yeah, sounds about right.
Oh, mate, forget me. Forget me. I'm easily done.
There are some real stories. All your bills are going up
If you've
today.
got one, I'd appreciate it.
All your bills are going up today, especially your water bill, because the water companies are doing so well, aren't they?
Yeah.
I mean, the story at the weekend was at Thames Water, who are the worst polluters of our rivers and our natural waterways. We're considering putting their bills up 40%. Otherwise, they're going to go bankrupt. So it's the start of the new financial year, and that's why so many of their bills are going up. But the water companies are the one that's really going to get everyone today. Because even the boat race at the weekend, what were we talking about?
Yeah, watched both those boat races. And it's E. coli in the water, and one of the crew members was talking about how they were ill as a result of
that'd be Oxford, the losing team.
Yeah.
They all had tummy aches.
Yeah, but that's embarrassing.
That's a serious story.
Yeah, it's horrible. It really is horrible. But, you know, a suggestion for the water companies is stop paying people bonuses and handing out dividends, etc., etc. Concentrate on fixing the problem.
Yeah,
that's
invest in our water.
Yeah, that's why the water bills are going up so much, because we need to invest in it. Well, stop paying yourself so much money.
Wow.
OK, Dawn, thanks very much indeed. Chris, thank you very much indeed. Cheers. Maybe just next time he's come back, we'll just do stories that are true.
Yes, sorry, yes, sorry.
Oh, my God.
It's so hard, though.
That's a challenge.
Today.
Yeah, okay.
It's the day for it, I'm afraid. Let us know your thoughts on any of those stories we're talking about today, especially the waterways and Thames Water. gbnews@gbnews.com.
OK,
Very much. Go
the
on,
time
Chris.
is 6 minutes now before 8 o'clock. We're online, we're on TV, we're on your radio, and here with your weather, Greg Dewhurst. Good morning, Greg.
That warm feeling inside. From Boxed Boilers, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Hello, good morning. Welcome to your latest weather. Over the next few days, it does remain unsettled. We do have rain pushing north today, heavy showers following, but there will be some warm sunshine. We can divide the country into three today. Cloud and rain across this central swathe of the UK. Quite a cold feeling day. To the north of this, fairly cloudy, some bright skies, and then to the south of this, a mixture of sunny spells and scattered showers. Some of them will be heavy, with some hail and thunder in there too. It could be some local disruption. If you are stuck under this area of cloud and rain, it'll be quite cold, temperatures 7-8 degrees. But in any sunnier breaks, we could see highs around 13 to 15 degrees, so not feeling too bad in the sunshine. As we move through into the evening time, further showers across England and Wales, perhaps some longer spells of rain along the south coast for a time. This area of rain continues to push its way northwards into Scotland, Northern Ireland also seeing some spells of rain. During the early hours, some clear spells in between. Windfall night, we could see one or two mist and fog patches developing. Temperatures a little lower compared to of late, but still largely above freezing. And then it's a mixed day on Tuesday. We'll see a mixture of sunny spells and scattered showers. The showers taking their time to bubble up, some of them on the heavy side at times, but many places across England and Wales staying dry, though turning cloudy. Very cloudy across parts of Scotland here as well. Outbreaks of rain through the day, some hill snow possible too. And temperatures 6 or 7 here, elsewhere 13 or 14.
Looks like things are heating up. Boxed Boilers, sponsors of weather on GB News.
The latest GB News travel.
Good morning, I'm Johnny Ratner. Big problems continue on the Staffordshire-Warwickshire border for the M42 this morning. The southbound carriageway of the motorway remains closed from junction 10 to 9 between the Tamworth and Coleshill exit. A serious collision that happened late last night continues to be investigated in Derbyshire. The A57 remains closed both ways along the Snake Pass between Glossop and the Lady Bower Reservoir for accident investigation work following a collision yesterday morning. West London, the A4 at Cranford is closed off the Henleys roundabout following a collision. In Carmarthenshire, west of Carmarthen, the A40 is shut by the Valero 10B service station following an accident. Trains have been suspended in Carmarthen and Cardiff Central following electrical supply problems at Bridgend, and no long-distance trains to and from London Euston today. And that's the latest.
You can stay up to date throughout the day by visiting our website, gbnews.com.
With thanks to Variety Cruises, a family company sailing since 1942, you have the chance to win a £10,000 7-night small boat cruise for two. With flights, meals, excursions and drinks included, you'll be able to choose from any one of their 2025 Greek adventures and explore Greece like never before. Plus, you'll also win £10,000 in tax-free cash to make your summer sizzle. And we'll pack you off with these luxury travel gifts. For a chance to win a prize worth over £20,000, text prize to 63232. Text costs £2 plus one standard network rate message. Or post your name and number to GB04 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 5 p.m. on the 26th of April. Full terms and privacy notice at gbnews.com/win. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Big news, big debates, big opinion. Patrick Christie's Tonight is the week's biggest show. Every weekday, 9 to 11 p.m, we've got the inside track on the day's top stories. There'll be sharp takes you won't get anywhere else. We will set the news agenda, not just follow it, and I want to bring you along for the ride. Whatever it is, we'll have our finger on the pulse. It's news, but it's this close to entertainment. Patrick Christie's Tonight, 9 to 11 p.m, only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
I'm Christopher Hope.
And I'm Gloria Di Piero, bringing you
PMQ's live here on GB News.
Whenever Parliament is in session on a Wednesday at midday, we'll bring you live coverage of Prime Minister's questions. We'll be asking our viewers and listeners to submit the questions that they would like to put to the Prime Minister, and we'll put that to our panel of top politicians in our Westminster studio.
That's PMQ's live here on GB News, Britain's election channel.
Headliners every morning at 5 a.m.
We treat you to the day's biggest stories before anyone else, 7 days a week. You can catch up on everything you need to know before you've even had your kippers. Headliners every morning at 5 a.m, only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
GB News is the home of free speech. We were created to champion it, and we deliver it day in, day out.
Free speech allows us all to explore and debate openly the issues most important to us, our families, and of course, the British people.
Having challenging conversations to enlighten each other.
Which is why we hear all sides of the argument.
We are the People's Channel.
We will always stand by the freedom to express yourself.
On TV, radio and online.
This is GB News, Britain's news channel.
Hello there, very good to see you. 8 o'clock is the time. It is the 1st of April on this Monday morning.
Yeah, it is April Fool's Day, but this is Breakfast with Eamonn Holmes and Ellie Costello.
And our headlines are these. A shocking insight into the state of the NHS revealed as new estimates suggest more than 250 people a week die needlessly due to long waits for a hospital bed.
A smiling king greets the crowds as he begins his return to royal duties at Windsor Castle yesterday.
Despite the government pledging households will be thousands of pounds better off as from today, plenty of price rises are set to take force as well. Here's Business Minister Kevin Hollinrake.
See the economy turning a corner this year. We'll see interest rates dropping, taxes dropping, of course. £900 a year for the average person in terms of tax reductions with the national insurance cuts. So all those things are all good news for people. Of course, there's more to do, but things really are turning a corner.
Bad weather, engineering work and a bank holiday means it's likely to be travel chaos for millions as they return home for the Easter bank holiday weekend today.
We're also talking about the controversial Scottish hate crime bill. It comes into force from today as critics get ready to protest.
And a new culinary invention combining two of your favourite things, wine and cheese. Is it too good to be true? We'll be looking at that later on today.
And in the sport, I don't like to be boring, I don't like to be a stick in the mud, but I hate April Fool's jokes, so there's not going to be any in the sport whatsoever. So in the headlines, Brighton beat Liverpool 10-0, Manchester City drew 7-0 with Arsenal, and Ange Postecoglou will now take over as the new England manager for the Euros.
Good morning. Today we've got outbreaks of rain. We've also got some heavy showers, perhaps thundery as well, but there'll also be some sunshine. Find out all the weather details coming up soon.
But on this bank holiday Monday, we begin with Easter travel disruption.
Yeah, it is continuing, I'm afraid, as heavy rain is expected to disrupt more than 2 million journeys.
The motoring organisation, the RAC, predicts that 2 million journeys will be made today, but the roads will be jam-packed. As planned, rail engineering works across the country means no trains for many trying to get back after a long weekend.
Well, GB News' South East of England reporter Ray Addison is at Euston Station for us this morning, and GB News national reporter Theo Chicomba is by the M25 in Dartford for us. Ray, let's start with you. Lots of trains are not running at all today. How's it looking there at London Euston?
Well, this is one of London's biggest train stations. Around 25,000 people every single day on this concourse. However, I've just taken a walk around. At the moment, it's a complete ghost town. There's more people sleeping on the seating than there is actually getting on or off of trains. Now, of course, that's due to this major engineering works which have been taking place over Easter. No trains in or out of Euston today up until 5 a.m. tomorrow morning. So it's going to continue to disrupt into tomorrow morning as well. That's apart from London Overground services, particularly from Watford Junction. Platform 9 if you need to travel in or to Watford from Euston every 15 minutes, but every other route you're out of luck. Avanti West Coast, London North Western Railway, not operating to Euston today. So these are destinations including Birmingham, Wolverhampton, Liverpool, as far as Crewe, Glasgow and Edinburgh as well. Now, of course, we have got some rail replacement buses in place, but Theo will tell you about the travel disruption on the motorways. We've also got the extra footfall on the planes at airports as well, and disruption with the ferries too. So it's all adding into this mix. Network Rail apologising. They say that this sign of maintenance and improvement work is vital to keeping the railway running safely and improving performance. They're working on HS2 prep. They're also making improvement to tracks and strengthening bridges as well. All of those great ideas, I'm sure. However, not little solace to commuters who can't get into London today to Euston from those destinations.
Yes, indeed. Ray Addison, thank you very much for that update. And Theo Chicomba is on the M25, or just above the M25, in Dartford. How's it looking there, Theo?
Well, the roads are certainly picking up now. Hundreds of cars are passing by here every few minutes. But today, millions of people are expected to be travelling on the roads around the country. Now here on the M25 near the Dartford crossing, around 200,000 people pass through the M25, accounting for around 15% of all road users every single day. And on a day like today, during this Easter break, many more people are expected to be on the roads. And as Ray was mentioning just a moment ago, many people will be travelling around the country, whether it's for sporting events and others simply returning home following their Easter getaway. But this week as well is when many families will be travelling around the country as the school holidays are beginning. Schools all across the country set to be on break for around 2 weeks. Now, I can give you an update on the roads this morning. Most of them are running smoothly, as we can see here in Dartford, but on the M42 southbound between junction 9 and 10, there is a closure there in that area following a serious collision. We do understand that Warwickshire Police are in attendance and carrying out their investigations. Now, of course, we hear about the weather warnings we've heard for today. Here, though, the sun is out, and normally when it's raining, that contributes and we end up seeing slower traffic. But for now, though, here in the southeast, things are running smoothly, and people are advised to check before they travel, just in case there are any road closures where they'll be travelling to today.
Yeah, good advice there. Theo Chicomba on the M25 and Ray Addison there for us at London Euston Station. Thank you both very much indeed.
Well, we're supposed to be in British summertime. That traffic will tell you different. British glummer time, perhaps more likely. Yeah. 12 hours of rain from Spain, set to empty beaches for a dank holiday washout today. There is a 400-mile wide band of rain which is moving up from the south, and it'll hit the Midlands and south of the Midlands. That will lead to 122 flood alerts today. OK, so that will add to all the trouble on the rails and on the roads.
Oh,
we're
meant to be in the spring.
And spring has sprung, the grass is green. I wonder where King Charles has been. Well, he was at...
Did you just come up with that?
I just came up with that.
That was really good.
I'm a poet and I don't know
you
it.
You are a poet and you don't know it.
King Charles was at church yesterday, right? He returned to royal duties this weekend, attending the Easter service at Windsor Castle yesterday.
Yes, and after the service, the King spoke to the crowds gathered outside St George's Chapel. He was accompanied by the Queen as well. Well,
the Prince and Princess of Wales, they weren't there. That's following the revelation last week about the Princess of Wales' illness, so they are on a private family holiday. Well, earlier we spoke to the former butler to King Charles III, Grant Harold.
He looks really well, and I see the fact that he's kind of joking and laughing. I always think that's quite a good sign, because I'm sure you know from my time working there, humour was one of the big parts of the job, and to see that he's still got that humour is fantastic and really important. And I'm sure the Queen was equally happy for her to have her husband back at her side again. It's kind of shown us all that he is still there. He's very much carrying on as normal. He's doing the duties as you'd expect of a king, but most of it is behind closed doors, and that's just quite simply because obviously as I'm sure we're aware, with the treatment he's having, obviously don't want him catching anything or getting anything. So he's just being cautious. I mean, the reality is this is somebody who, he's a real graft, he's a hard worker. He will not like the fact that he's not able to be with the public. He really won't like that. And doing it behind closed doors, he's doing what he's told, I suppose. But this is something he'll be glad that he's actually done. And it's possible that we might see him doing a little bit more of this going forward, as hopefully as he continues to improve. I think he just wanted to show that he is still getting on with the duty, and he's not afraid. This is a man that very little frightens him. So I think he's shown the world he's not afraid of this, and he's fighting it, and he's obviously going to, hopefully, God willing, he's going to make a full recovery.
Well, royal people, they have estates, they have mansions, they have castles, they have all sorts of things as well. The King of Entertainment, Simon Cowell, he has one as well.
Oh, does he?
In the Cotswolds.
Oh, does he?
Right. But do you know what? And I noticed this. I was out and about at the weekend and I saw all these little humps and hills everywhere. And I thought, goodness me, what's going on there?
Yeah.
And what is going on there? What are they called? What are those things that burrow into the ground that can't
see? Oh, a badger.
No, not a badger.
A mole.
A mole. I am a mole and I live in a hole. Yeah, what? That's what just came into my head. I was a mole and I live in a hole.
I don't even know what that is. What, and the moles had made lots of molehills?
So Simon Cowell's got 8 acres in the Cotswolds, right?
Yeah.
And his moles are full of holes, or his holes are full of moles. That's what it is. They're everywhere. And imagine, if that happened to your garden, what would you do? How would you deal with the mole who lives in the hole?
You have to do the whack-a-mole.
The whack-mole, yeah.
Well, you have to whack-a-mole. Well, there must be a humane way of...
Whacking a mole.
Whacking a mole.
Yeah.
Maybe you can scurry a mole away.
But what do you do when all those humps appear in your back garden, and how do you get rid of them? And
well, you wouldn't
just
be best
put up
pleased.
with them, or are you a friend of nature, or do you get a shotgun, or what happens?
Well, no. You think there'd be people you can call, and they can come sort out your mole problem.
Eradicators.
Yes, like a pest control.
Well, that means they kill them with
poison. To get the mole out of the hole. Well,
yeah.
You can't have holes
Can
in
you
your
not
lawn.
sort of take them out? So moles are sort of blind, aren't they?
Yeah. Yes, they are.
Yeah. They can see, well, they can
Is this your mole
see
impression?
better in the dark, or they've got like whiskers, sensory perceptors that touch
something
everything,
like that.
and they
But they
know
seem
what's
to
going on.
go for the nice houses. I don't think they're blind at all.
Well, that's because my size of big gardens, and you notice it more.
Oh, well, there you go.
Mm-hmm.
That's
my producer, my editor, is so interested in this. He just said to me, "Bulletin's next."
Move on.
Yeah, he obviously, see, the thing about him is
I was enjoying
he'll
the
have a
impression.
house that doesn't have a garden.
No.
This won't affect him.
No, it won't.
Am I right?
Maybe he's jealous.
Am I right, Cooper? Yeah, he said
He's
it
jealous.
right.
Okay.
Well,
Yeah.
He didn't
Doesn't
say
have a garden.
He didn't say it in a friendly way.
Ah.
He said it in a shut up and read the news, Eamonn.
Well, I was enjoying your mole impression.
Were you?
And I also enjoyed the mouse song, or the mole song, whatever that was.
OK.
a
Here is the other news. Here's some of the other news that we've got for you this morning. New childcare plans coming into force today. Eligible parents and carers of 2-year-olds will now be entitled to 15 hours of funded childcare a week.
It is the first part of an £8 billion package announced in the 2023 budget that the government hopes will support working parents. However, the Labour Party have criticised the government, saying they have a pledge without a plan.
Anti-government protests have broken out in Jerusalem. It's a series of planned demonstrations until Tuesday. Tens of thousands were urging the government to reach a ceasefire deal to free the dozens of hostages held in Gaza by Hamas. Protesters are also calling on the government to hold an early election, which is not due to happen until the spring of 2026.
The Scottish Government's controversial new hate crime law will come into effect from today. First passed in 2021, the Act has consolidated existing hate crime legislation and created a new offence for threatening or abusive behaviour intended to stir up hatred based on prejudice. However, the legislation has raised concerns about a threat to free speech, with prominent critics including J.K. Rowling, Joe Rogan and Elon Musk.
Who is Joe Rogan?
Podcaster.
Is he?
He might be doing other things, but I know he's got a very successful podcast. I think he's one of the most listened to podcasts in the world.
Is he American?
He's a UFC, yes, commentator, podcaster, comedian, actor, and former television host.
Ah, never heard of him.
Oh.
The average household water and sewage bill is set to rise. Here's another increase, 6%. a year, and that happens from today.
Yes, this comes as the Liberal Democrats have accused water companies of committing environmental vandalism. The party's analysis revealed there were 31,000 sewage discharges in bathing areas last year.
You know, I was watching a news report in Northern Ireland last week, and it was all about volunteers who were unclogging rivers leading into Lough Neagh, and Lough Neagh had become covered in this green algae because of what was in the water being poured in and whatever. But I think that's marvellous. But it's not up to those people to do the work of the utility companies, the water companies. They're being paid for it.
Paid a pretty penny, actually, up 6% today.
But, you know, to anybody who gets out there, collects litter, clears the roads and that sort of thing, unclogs rivers and gets involved in environmental stuff, our respect and applause to you. Here's our South West of England reporter, Jeff Moody. He's more on all of this.
Yes, just the sort of news we need to wake up to this morning, isn't it? Water bills set to rise by an average of 6% across the whole of the country. That makes pretty depressing reading in certain areas. We're expecting bills to go up by around £473 a year. Well, Wessex Water and Anglian Water are at the top of the scale. Their average bills are set to rise to around £558 a year, while customers in Northumbria aren't doing so badly. That'll be the lowest rise, up to £422 too. Well, the water companies are saying that these rises are necessary in order to make significant improvements to the water system. Well, the improvement that everybody wants, of course, is for the water companies to stop pumping out raw sewage into the waters. Here in Devon, 29 beaches have been on alert this weekend. 29 beaches where it's been recommended people don't swim. One of those beaches is here in Instow, where plenty of people are out walking their dogs, but not many people have been braving the waters for that very reason. We're hearing that those increases are coming into force now, and the water companies have said they will keep those increases until such a time as the work has been done. And if no work is done or no work is achieved, they will then look to lower those bills. Well, the water companies are also saying if anybody has issues or problems paying those bills, they should contact their water provider, and there is a guarantee in place that they won't install or force you to install a meter reader. They will work with you to try and make those payments. But there's a lot of people this weekend, saying this really is the end of the line in terms of trust for the water companies. This is what some people have been saying over the weekend.
It just feels like all the bills are going up at the minute, but I just didn't expect the water bill to increase quite so much, as mine's almost doubled monthly what I pay now.
They're in it for profit, and if they need to raise bills to do the job that they're supposed to be doing in the first place, what have they been spending the money on up till now?
I think the levels of sewage are absolutely outrageous, and the lack of investment by water companies is disgraceful. Complete lack of business planning.
We live in Lancashire, we have the River Hodder, and we do a lot of wild swimming. I can't wild swim because of the amount of sewerage in the canals. What's that about?
I think it should be back in government control, public ownership. I think private sector's just sucking the money out of it.
What if there was civil protest? What if we all said we're not paying our water bill?
I wouldn't be surprised if it gets to that. I think people are so angry about this.
I think they are really angry, but they need somebody, some figurehead to fly the flag on this and organise this. Fergal Sharkey is very good on this.
OK.
So he is. Isn't it Fergal Sharkey? It is. It is, yes, it's Fergal. Fergal from Derry, and he's really good. Do you know who he is, don't you? No, you don't. Obviously you don't. He used to sing. Who did he used to sing for Cooper?
Fergal Sharkey.
Oh.
Oh, OK, yeah. He's the Undertones.
Undertones, yeah.
Singer. And he's been hitting out about all of this.
It's hard to find a good heart.
Oh, yeah, Good Heart, #1 hit. Here we go.
It's hard.
In 1985.
See, that was my time. That was when it was.
Before my time.
He's a great man. He's a great man, the way he speaks out against these utility companies, and we need more people like him, it has to be said.
Yeah, we need to. I mean, we've got the Lib Dems talking today, saying that they would stop the raw dumping of sewage into our waterways.
Shouldn't be allowed.
Shouldn't be allowed. Let us know what you think on that one.
And there may be more problems today because there's going to be big downpours over the country today. We go to Greg Dewhurst. Greg, tell us more.
A brighter outlook with Box Solar, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Hello, good morning. Welcome to your latest weather. Over the next few days, it does remain unsettled. We do have rain pushing north today, heavy showers following, but there will be some warm sunshine. We can divide the country into three today. Cloud and rain across this central swathe of the UK. Quite a cold feeling day. To the north of this, fairly cloudy, some bright skies, and then to the south of this, a mixture of sunny spells and scattered showers. Some of them will be heavy with some hail and thunder in there too. Could be some local disruption. If you are stuck under this area of cloud and rain, it'll be quite cold, temperatures 7-8 degrees. But in any sunnier breaks, we could see highs around 13 to 15 degrees, so not feeling too bad in the sunshine. As we move through into the evening time, further showers across England and Wales, perhaps some longer spells of rain along the south coast for a time. This area of rain continues to push its way northwards into Scotland, Northern Ireland also seeing some spells of rain. During the early hours, some clear spells in between. Windfall night, we could see 1 or 2 mist and fog patches developing. Temperatures a little lower compared to of late, but still largely above freezing. And then it's a mixed day on Tuesday. We'll see a mixture of sunny spells and scattered showers. The showers taking their time to bubble up, some of them on the heavy side at times, but many places across England and Wales staying dry, though turning cloudy. Very cloudy across parts of Scotland here as well. Outbreaks of rain through the day, some hill snow possible too. And temperatures 6 or 7 here, elsewhere 13 or 14.
That warm feeling inside from Boxed Boilers, sponsors of weather on GB News.
So here we are, it's a new week, it is a new month, and it is a new Great British Giveaway competition. This is a goodie, have a listen.
Yeah, it's going to be...
You could win our biggest prize giveaway so far. First, there's an incredible £10,000 in tax-free cash to spend however you like. Plus, courtesy of Variety Cruises, a bespoke 7-night small boat cruise for 2 worth £10,000. With flights, meals, excursions and drinks included, your next holiday could be on us. Choose any one of their 2025 Greek adventures and find your home at sea. We'll also send you packing with these luxury travel gifts. For a chance to win a prize worth over £20,000, text WIN to 63232. Text costs £2 plus 1 standard network rate message. Or post your name and number to GB04 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 5 p.m. on the 26th of April. Full terms and privacy notice at gbnews.com/win. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Well, that's brilliant. That's brilliant. Travel with us, experience all the best at the top of the tree. Again, a lot of reports out this morning from people who faced congestion, delays. Faro Airport in Portugal was not good. A complete lack of staff. Now, I'm smiling at that because that's normally where I would go. And I didn't.
What, Faro?
Yeah.
Oh, well done. Well, at least you avoided that chaos.
Yeah.
But there is going to be chaos on the roads. We're going to be hearing about that with our reporters. And we're also going to be talking about wine and cheese in a can. Does that sound good to you? It's a good combination, to
Wait a
be
minute.
fair.
Is the wine and is the cheese solid, or is it mixed in with the... Is it wine?
I think it's like a cocktail. Like a wine and cheese.
Cheese-flavoured wine?
Yeah, I think. We're going to find out next anyway, so stay tuned for that.
Dubes & Co. Weekdays from 6 p.m.
The Guardian's not happy, everybody, because one of their headline stories today was about a private members club that is for gentlemen only, the Garrick Club I refer to in London. There's accusations now, Quinton, that it's all the kind of upper echelons of society, all the powerful...
It's a cabal of important, powerful people who are running the country.
And I thought to myself, when I heard descriptions like that, I bet Quinton Letts is somehow involved. Are you?
I've been to the Garrick a few times.
Why can't women be members?
Because it's a gents' club. My daughter, one of my daughters, is a member of an all-women's club called the University Women's Club, and they don't allow blokes in. It's an outrage. No, it's not. It's a free country.
I mean, it's archaic and it needs to change.
What is?
You know, is my view. The fact that the Garrick doesn't admit women members. There are lots of these members clubs, you know, across London, probably in other parts of the country as well. And you know, you have to pay for membership, so it is well-to-do members of society that go. I've nothing against them existing, but all of them have changed their constitution. Those that were once men only, you know, they all now admit women. The only exception now is the Garrick. My other thought is, well, why are we talking about it if we've got nothing more important going on?
Just to be frank, I genuinely could not care less if there is a club that I'm not allowed into because of my sex. I do, though, think that if you're going to start...
You're allowed in there. They let them in.
Yeah, but not as members.
Yeah.
But I do think if you're going to start, you know, having all of this kind of respect and all the rest of it for single-sex spaces for men, then you can't, as a society, allow the ridiculousness that goes on in female spaces when a man sticks a dress on and a wig maybe and a bit of lipstick if he's feeling bold and says that he's called Sharon and then wants to be allowed into that space, and then those establishments then buckle and let those men actually into things like changing rooms of women. That really, really annoys me.
I think the most exciting bit for me is talking to people.
People who I think are ignored often by the major news channels. We're going to give news they want to hear. There's a voice there that needs to be heard. I think there's a chance here for a diversity of opinion to be expressed, which you don't find elsewhere. It's really exciting.
We don't hold back. We're free to say how decisions that are taken here
affect us all around the country. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Join me, Camilla Tominey, every Sunday at 9:30 when I'll be interviewing the key players in British politics and taking them to task.
This report basically says that he's not fit to stand trial.
With an upcoming election looming over Westminster, now is the time for clear, honest answers.
I agree.
And that's precisely what I'll get.
Is he indecisive? Incompetent?
That's the Camilla Tominey Show at 9:30 every Sunday on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's election channel.
Now, wine and cheese night just got easier. Instead of making a cheese board and then finding yourself multiple bottles of wine, a British cheese and wine company has decided to blend the two. Yes, blend wine and cheese to make the ultimate pairing.
How do they do that? And could this be the future of wine and cheese? Let's talk to Jessica Summer. Jessica is the founder and CEO of Mouse and Grape, and she joins us now for a taste test of her wine-cheese fusion in a can. What have you come up with, Jessica?
Good morning. So we have 3 stunning wines here, which I have blended with cheeses, because cheese and wine pairing, we know that works, delicious combinations. But quite often people say to me they're not sure which cheese and wine go together. So I've just simplified that process and made it easier than ever for you to enjoy those combinations.
And this has never been done before?
No, never been done before. But it works so beautifully because of that flavour combination.
And what are the combinations? I mean, just explain to people what wine goes with what cheese.
Yeah, sure. So you've got sparkling Chardonnay, and then that's with Nettlebed Creamery Bix, which is here. And then we also have Old Vine Garnacha with Quick's cheddar cheese.
Can I open this and try it?
Yeah, you can try it. Yeah, absolutely. And then this is White Lake cheese, Driftwood.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah. So
is this the rosé? I like rosé, so I'm going to try this one. What have you got over there? You've got white wine.
Yeah.
Sparkling Chardonnay and Nettlebed Creamery.
Yeah, Bix. Yeah.
And my one's a goat's cheese, is it?
It is goat's cheese, yeah.
Rosé and goat's cheese.
Oh, I hate goat's cheese.
I love goat's cheese. I love rosé.
Look, could you open that for me?
Yeah, it's because I've got nails, you see.
And what you'll find as well is that the acidity in the wine really balances beautifully with the cream cheeses.
Oh no, it's too early. Cheers me,
strong.
cheers me. Okay, sláinte. Oh, it's warm. What do you think?
I should have pre-chilled it.
I can taste the goat's cheese. It's kind of cutting through.
Yeah, it is, isn't it?
Not sure about that one. What do you think? Do you like wine?
And Eamonn, if you're lucky, you'll get some bits in there as well.
Bits?
The cheese.
Yeah, you might get some bits.
Yeah, you might do. And what's great about it as well is that canned wines, obviously, so that is a much more sustainable option.
Oh, yeah.
And is better for the planet too.
And you can pack it for a picnic.
Yeah.
Because we are getting into brighter days, aren't we?
Yeah, absolutely perfect for picnics. And then obviously with a drink, with alcohol, it's a protein added. So it's a better for you option as well.
The cheese adds the protein element.
Yes, exactly.
And are these really popular with people?
They're so popular. So it's only just been released, but I've been working on this for the last few months. And it's amazing, the reaction and the response that we've been getting for it. And we've got pre-orders already.
Well, you're getting 2 for 1, aren't you? You're getting a drink, and then is the idea you feel you've eaten? I think I'd have to physically eat as well.
Yeah, well, you don't have to in this case, but what you can do, which I've seen people do, is you can have a cracker crumb. So you can, on cocktails when you get a martini with the salt.
Stop.
Yeah, you can do crackers around the outside.
So you do crackers on the rim of the glass.
Of the glass.
And then you have
amazing?
your wine and your cheese in the drink. Now that is genius.
Would I have to be crackers to believe what you're telling me?
You might have to be a little bit crackers, Eamonn. But yeah, so...
Can I ask you, even though the smell and everything moulds together here, are you telling us the truth on this?
So I'm telling you a half-truth, Eamonn. So my business is Mouse and Grape, and I'm a cheese and wine pairing expert. So I specialise in cheese and wine paired hampers. So this is a little bit of an April Fool's joke, but the cheese pairings are real. So you can buy these combinations in the April Fool's hamper from Mouse and Grape.
Gotcha. I understand what you do.
But
I think I'd prefer it the way you would do it.
Do you think so?
I do.
Do you think I'm not on something then?
I do.
I don't think so.
No, I don't. I don't think so.
I don't think so. But I'm wondering if any of you were fooled at home. Did any of you think we were actually trying wine and cheese in a can? Do you like the sound of it? I think some people would actually.
You know what? The garnacha and the cheddar is actually really nice blended. It actually smells very good. Yeah. Honestly, the other two.
You're joking, but you're not joking. You'd love to do it.
The combinations together, like of the individual cheeses and the wines, they work so beautifully.
Yeah.
And the way that you eat it as well, because people often don't know, is that you should take a bite of the cheese, hold it in your mouth, chew them both together, so blend them in your mouth, then swallow, and it's in the finish that combination comes to life.
So you might be onto something.
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you what, whoever made your cans have done a very good job as well.
Yeah, that's the Canned Wine Company. So we've made fake stickers.
Oh, look.
Yeah.
Well, we appreciate the effort.
Yeah, so those come off, and then...
And that's the real thing underneath.
The real thing, the real deal.
Oh, well, it looked very professional.
Good. Jessica, thank you very much. Jessica Summer, who's got her own mouse and grape company.
Yeah.
That's the mouse cheese and grape.
Yeah, it's good, isn't it?
That's all about.
Now, do stay with us. Dawn Newsom and Chris Akabusi will be taking a look at what's making the news. That's next.
Right, we're done.
The latest GB News travel.
Good morning, I'm Johnny Ratner. Big problems up in South Yorkshire continue for the A1M. The southbound exit remains closed to junction 37, the mile turn-off north of Doncaster after a lorry shed its load. And the M42 remains closed from Staffordshire into Warwickshire, so southbound from junction 10 at the A5 down to 9 the Coleshill exit. Investigation works taking place following a collision that happened late last night. In Derbyshire at the A57, the Snake Pass is closed on the stretch between Glossop and the Lady Bower Reservoir for accident investigation work. In West London, the A4 at Cranford is closed off the Henleys roundabout following a serious collision. In Carmarthenshire, west of Carmarthen, the A40 is closed following a crash near the Valero Tenby service station. Trains remain suspended from Carmarthen to Cardiff Central, with no long-distance trains to and from London Euston today. And that's the latest.
You can stay up to date throughout the day by visiting our website, gbnews.com.
I'm Michelle Dewberry, and I'm not here to tell you what to think. I'd much rather hear what you have to say. So, send in your opinions to gbviews@gbnews.com. Keep them clean, and you never know, I might read them out. With my panel here on Jubes & Co, we debate, we get stuck into the issues of the day on a show where all views are welcome, especially yours. GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
2024, a battleground year.
The year the nation decides.
As the parties gear up their campaigns for the next general election.
Who will be left standing when the British people make one of the biggest decisions of their lives?
Who will rise?
And who will fall?
Let's find out together.
For every moment, the highs, the lows, the twists and turns.
We'll be with you for every step of this journey.
In 2024, GB News is Britain's election channel.
I'm Andrew Doyle.
Join me at 7 o'clock every Sunday night for Free Speech Nation, the show where I tackle the week's biggest stories in politics and current affairs with the help of my 2 comedian panellists and a variety of special guests.
Free Speech Nation, Sunday nights from 7 on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Your weekend starts here with Friday Night Live with me, Mark Dolan, 8 till 9 on GB News. Big stories, big guests and big laughs as we get you ready for a cracking weekend. That's Friday Night Live with Mark Dolan. Fridays 8 till 9 on GB News. Bring your own drinks. The admission's free.
Every Sunday from 11, join Michael Portillo.
There will be topical discussion, looking at the week before and the week to come. So kick back and relax at 11 a.m. on Sundays on GB News with me, Michael Portillo. GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
2024, a battleground year.
The year the nation decides.
As the parties gear up their campaigns for the next general election.
Who will be left standing when the British people make one of the biggest decisions of their lives?
Who will rise?
And who will fall?
Let's find out together.
For every moment, the highs, the lows, the twists and turns.
We'll be with you for every step of this journey.
In 2024, GB News is Britain's election channel.
We are going through the news at 8:35 with Chris Agabusi and Dawn Neeson. Really good to have your company this morning. Dawn, this is a huge relief because I ate loads of chocolate yesterday. And apparently it's very good for you and may help you lose weight.
Right, OK, well...
Or is this another April Fool?
Well, I'm just taking everything with a pinch of salt this morning. I don't think this one is.
Yeah, I don't know if I trust it.
Who knows? This one's in the mail, and I think I've spotted their April Fool. But chocolate, if you've stuffed your own body weight in Easter eggs over the last few days, like I have, chocolate may help you shed weight, and it could boost your brain and protect from age-related cognitive decline.
But if it is, it's not the chocolate we all know. It's foul-tasting chocolate.
The proper dark, healthy stuff, eh?
75% cocoa.
You're not helping here, mate.
It's not the same.
This is a study from Eastern China, which has found that, as Eamonn's quite rightly pointed out, somewhat dully, that the healthy chocolate that hasn't got a lot of fat and sugar in it contains things that can, when eaten, actually potentially prevent various problems going wrong, and it won't... Everything in moderation, people, and it won't help you, it won't make you put on weight. And this study is in the journal Functional Foods. It also suggests it could be used to treat stroke and depression.
Do you know, it was a nice story I'm reading here. Nick Witchell, the royal correspondent for the BBC, 70 years of age, and he had a retirement party over the weekend. And the nice thing, do you remember he and then Prince Charles?
Yeah, oh God, I remember that, yeah.
And Charles said, remember he was mic'd in Switzerland and he didn't get his
with the boys when they were young.
And he said, I can't bear that man. He said, he's awful.
He did.
Yeah.
He really is. Well, he sent a tape for a video at Nick Witchell's going away do. A nice message between the two of them.
Isn't it? I mean, that was pretty famous, wasn't it? Because the boys sitting either side of him on the skis.
Can't bear him. Can't bear.
I know. Said it
But anyway, happy retirement, Nick. Very nice.
Exactly. Well deserved. I've got some more good news about chocolate, basically. Someone sent me this at the weekend after I confessed to eating yet another egg. Chocolate comes from cocoa, which is a tree. That makes it a plant, so chocolate is basically a salad. It's
basically vegan.
Yeah, exactly.
At that rate. Yeah. Very good.
So go for it.
Chris, this one's caught my eye. Gen Z, however you'd like to say it.
Yeah.
The rudest generation ever, according to the Daily Mail.
Yeah, it's a grandma. She remains anonymous. She's 80. She's complaining about her kids. Gen Z, for those who don't know, are between 12 and 27 at this moment in time. I wanted to kick back again in this story initially because I've got a couple of youngsters myself. I've got a young lady, she's 13, and I've got a young lady who's 16. So they're square, but they are Gen Z.
But they'll be very polite because you would...
Yeah, they are.
Be tough on them if they weren't.
They are very polite. When she says they're not polite, what she's talking about basically is that they are self-centred. That she's a grandma, for example. She tells a story of her grandson who's mid-20s, going to work, promised to come to see Grandma. She's in all day. She's creating her food for him, and he can't be bothered to turn up because he's had a hard night and a hard day, so he doesn't turn up. And, you know, she's emailed him, she's texted him, she's done all the sort of thing to make sure he's there, and he doesn't turn up. And I get from Grandma's point of view, because when we were children, there's no way you would, you know, not respond to Grandma. And then the article goes on to say that, you know, Gen Z, they're prince and princelings. The whole world has been revolved around them, quite solipsistic. They live their life in their phones and their tablets.
Just get straight, Chris. What age group's Gen Z again?
12 to 27 is Gen Z.
Okay.
But also, what I want to say in their defence, they are also probably the most egalitarian, neurodiverse, environmental friendly. They are also accepting of all sorts of people. You know, when I was at school, I won't even go there. Because it was such a different world. We were so narrow focused, and they're very open-minded. So, yes, I do get it. I do get that they can be hard to get through. You know, they are lost in their own little world.
I'll just teach them some manners, honestly.
No, but they've got manners. They've got manners. If you speak to them, they're very polite. You know, they respect the difference. But yes, of course, Grandma is expected to turn up. They've not turned up because they're in their own little world.
Do you think they respect elders?
No, I think there's a
Chris is doing a good defence there.
I think there's a huge generation gap. There's always been a generation gap issue, but I think it's getting bigger. I think there is an enormous lack of respect now between younger folk and older folk, and it works both ways. I mean, we're sneering at them. You know, you're lazy, you're work shy. You know, that story we had the other day, Ellie, where it's like, you know, lots of them think it's perfectly fine not to turn up for a job interview and not let the company
have duvet days and
but also at the same time, you know, we're all millionaires, we own our own homes, we'll never own our own homes, all that sort of thing. So there's more hatred and division than ever before.
I think it depends on how you've been raised, because we've been raised, so my granny is the matriarch of our family.
Great.
She's the boss. Yeah. And what she says goes, and that's the way it is.
That's very traditional.
Yeah, very traditional.
And that respect is nice to get.
That's very traditional.
But I don't know how many other families are like that still. I think that is quite a traditional way.
We were brought up to respect our elders.
But now but now with generations, you have to earn the respect. It's not naturally given, because I don't agree with this, but we have put so much on them that they actually do believe that their opinion is as important and as right as your own, despite the fact that you've got 60 years on this world and they've only had 12 or 20. So that's the challenge you're dealing with. You have to earn the respect. You have to dialogue with them. And they will follow if you lead and they can trust your example.
I just don't think that's the way it should be. You know, when I worked with really senior, superb broadcasters like John Stapleton or Desmond Lynham or whatever it is, doesn't matter what programme I've been doing, if I'd been given the lead billing or whatever, I would just turn and say, John, you're the boss, you're in charge, Des. I mean, Des Lynham is a god. Why would I ever think that I could in some way supersede him on those things? And I find that there has to be an awareness that some people with their age and their experience are better than you, and you're just going to have to
because the difference, Eamonn, is you weren't brought up to be entitled. You weren't treated as a little prince where everything you did was right. You're wrapped up in cotton wool. You actually were brought up the old-fashioned way, and that's the difference. And then you respect your elders.
But on the other side, if you were working with a digital native, you might want to succeed, that they may have an insight into the technology and how it operates.
OK. Chris, I just got to cut across, you know, because we've got Nick Thomas-Symonds, Nick's the Shadow Minister without portfolio, and he's speaking to us from South East Wales today. And today, Nick, very, very good seeing you. Labour accusing the government of having a childcare pledge. We've been reporting that in the show so far this morning. But do you think this pledge comes without a plan?
Good morning, Eamonn. Good to join you as always. Yes, it certainly does come without a plan. I mean, we have phase one today, which is talking about the 15 hours for working parents of all 2-year-olds. But what we are hearing up and down the country is a lack of capacity, obviously recruitment and retention problem in the early years sector. So the government is announcing these entitlements, but then you find working parents up and down the country can't actually access them. Now, of course, if Labour is privileged enough to form a government, we will stand by these entitlements. We will not take these entitlements away or reduce them. But what we will do is put forward an actual way of accessing them, of making them a reality for everybody who is entitled to them. To do that, we've appointed Sir David Bell, very well respected across the early years sector, a former inspector of Ofsted, to look at this system as to how we can actually reform it so that it can deliver on these entitlements. He started that work in October of last year, so that at the election we can put forward not just honouring the entitlements of that working parents have been promised, but also how we can deliver them too.
Nick, I wanted to ask you about water and sewage, because bills for water are up on average 6% today. We heard over the weekend about Thames Water being in crisis, and we've got new stats from the Liberal Democrats today showing that sewage dumping is up by 47% in bathing spots around this country. This is a huge issue. This is a scandal across this country. How would the Labour Party fix it?
Well, it is absolutely appalling. And hear about sewage being pumped into our lakes, our rivers, our seas. It is absolutely disgusting, frankly, and the government should be ashamed. What we would do if we are privileged enough to form a government is to look at how this sector is regulated. So in relation to the companies themselves, we should have an option available to us to prosecute individuals, to subject individuals to criminal sanctions if they are in this way persistently fouling our waterways. But also, we need to look at the powers of the regulator. And frankly, the regulator should have power that if these sewage discharges are happening and continuing, they can withhold bonuses from the bosses. And in addition to that, we should look at putting companies into special measures, actually making them clean up their filth, because this is truly, truly shocking. And that the government hasn't taken robust action is to their shame.
We wanted to ask you as well about long waits in A&E, killing 250 people every week. It's on the front page of many of the papers today. I mean, talking about scandal, that's another scandal. People are dying needlessly in this country, waiting in corridors to get into a hospital bed. That shouldn't be happening in this country.
It's truly shocking to see those statistics in the media this morning. And these are people's lives. We have been warning about this and the dangerous situation in A&E for a lengthy period of time now. This isn't a danger the government has suddenly become aware of. It's happening, frankly, because of the lack of capacity that there now is in the National Health Service. And our National Health Service, of course, needs reform, not least to be focusing on prevention, not simply treatment of illnesses, but it also needs an immediate action of cash to be able to get doctors, nurses working those extra hours to really bring the waiting list down, to double the number of scanners, and also, by the way, more broadly, to try to deal with the crisis in NHS dentistry that exists. Try and create 700,000 new appointments. So this would be a real immediate priority for the next Labour government if we're privileged to form one. And I really do worry the Conservatives just don't understand the depth and scale of the problem they have in the National Health Service.
Shadow Minister Nick Thomas-Symonds, thank you very much indeed for your time this morning. We'll leave it there. Thank you very much.
Stay with us. Dawn and Chris will be back with Making the News. That's next.
Big news, big debates, big opinion. Patrick Christie's Tonight is the week's biggest show. Every weekday, 9 to 11 p.m, we've got the inside track on the day's top stories. There'll be sharp takes you won't get anywhere else. We will set the news agenda, not just follow it, and I want to bring you along for the ride. Whatever it is, we'll have our finger on the pulse. It's news, but it's this close to entertainment. Patrick Christie's Tonight, 9 to 11 p.m, only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel. GB News is the home of free speech. We were created to champion it, and we deliver it day in, day out.
Free speech allows us all to explore and debate openly the issues most important to us, our families, and of course, the British people.
Having challenging conversations to enlighten each other.
Which is why we hear all sides of the argument.
We are the People's Channel.
We will always stand by the freedom to express yourself.
On TV, radio, and online.
This is GB News,
Britain's news channel.
Farage, Monday to Thursday from 7 p.m.
Serving police officers, showing that up to 20% of them are thinking about quitting the force and doing so within the next year or two. What on earth is going wrong? Problem, of course, is that those that go will be the experienced ones to be replaced by inexperienced ones. Kevin Hurley, former Detective Chief Superintendent at the Met Police, joins me from his home in Surrey. Kevin, this figure is shocking.
The terms and conditions have really dropped off under Theresa May's, what I would describe as an attack on the police service, where their pay has really dropped off, spending power down about 22% on what it once was. Worse still, the golden handcuffs, which were once the excellent police pension, have been taken away, and the pension is now much reduced. The other thing that's killing them is the constant media and activist battering for police officers. Off the back of that, one psychopath and the other, if you like, Tinder rapist, everybody now thinks the police are kind of all like that. What that means for the individual patrol officers, they're being given stick everywhere. For example, you know, their bosses left, right and centre are rolling over. Oh, yes, we're institutionally racist. What that means for a 25-year-old constable working in Balham High Street is everyone screaming at him, you're a racist pig. They get surrounded on the streets when they try and do a stop and search or an arrest. Add to that the fact that the criminal justice system is collapsing. They're tipping out the prisons with early releases. So, because of course there's no prison space, cases are taking years to get to court. They're getting derisory sentences because there's no room in the prisons. All of that's really demoralising for the police.
We're with Dawn and we're with Chris, and we're going to talk about a Tory revolt. Tell us more, Christopher.
Yeah, so Tory revolt, the One Nation Tories, I mean, both sides of the party, but the One Nation Tories are revolting against a bill that was started by Suella Braverman when she was Home Secretary, which aims to criminalise homelessness. Now, when you're thinking about the homelessness, often many of the people that are homeless are insane addicts, PTSD soldiers, newly impoverished, runaway children, in particular, looked after children. And most people don't sleep under bridges or in doorwells on purpose. It's a last desperate act. And the idea that you would criminalise them and that you would get our police, overstretched police force to take them to jail. Yes, please take me to jail if I'm homeless, because I'd rather be in a nice warm jail. Fine with £2.5 grand. Yeah, you'd be lucky. I've not got 2.5p. It seems ludicrous because use of resources. People are not homeless on purpose. And the mark of a society, for me, a good society, is not just on GDP. It's not just on military might, but it's also how you look after people who cannot look after themselves.
Well, here's the thing, Chris, with this story, right? How comes we can afford to spend millions of pounds a day putting illegal migrants who cross the Channel in boats up in hotels, £7 million a day, but we can't afford to put former army veterans in and look after them in hotels? And youngsters who are, you know, in care homes or have mental health issues.
Because the migrants have lawyers on their side.
Wrong. It's completely wrong, isn't it?
Yeah, it is completely wrong.
I don't understand it.
Well, but also every time we find another £1 billion to send to Ukraine or wherever we are, that's also a question I ask.
But also, I think problems around the whole world aren't necessarily our problems. I don't see why people sit and say, well, we should solve that, or we should...
But the counter-argument to that is we started it all in the first place. We unsettled the Middle East. I'm just saying that's what people say to that argument.
Dawn, tell us about voice cloning AI.
Yeah, good story. Very quickly, OpenAI is withholding a voice cloning tool from the public amid safety fears, right? It's a US company called, it's a ChatGPT thing, and their voice engine program is being held back because it can just 15 seconds snippet of your voice and it can impersonate you, so it can sound exactly like you, Ellie.
Weird.
Which is frightening and dangerous when you think about it. Unless you're a Scouser, because it really struggles with the Scouse accent. They've tried to replicate our Paul O'Grady as Lee Savage. They've tried to replicate his accent and they just can't do it. So if you're Scouser, you're quids-in.
Yeah, if you're Scouse, you're safe.
Yeah. I was going to try my Scouse accent, but don't worry. Okay, there are kids. I know, it sounds like it's well.
That's why accents are so good.
Exactly. They're worth having, clearly.
Say goodbye to you. Thank you both, Dawn and Chris, and we say hello, good morning, Greg.
Looks like things are heating up. Boxed boilers, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Hello, good morning. Welcome to your latest weather. Over the next few days, it does remain unsettled. We do have rain pushing north today, heavy showers following, but there will be some warm sunshine. We can divide the country into three today. Cloud and rain across this central swathe of the UK. Quite a cold feeling day. To the north of this, fairly cloudy, some bright skies, and then to the south of this, a mixture of sunny spells and scattered showers. Some of them will be heavy, with some hail and thunder in there too. Could be some local disruption. If you are stuck under this area of cloud and rain, it'll be quite cold, temperatures 7-8 degrees. But in any sunnier breaks, we could see highs around 13 to 15 degrees, so not feeling too bad in the sunshine. As we move through into the evening time, further showers across England and Wales, perhaps some longer spells of rain along the south coast for a time. This area of rain continues to push its way northwards into Scotland, Northern Ireland also seeing some spells of rain. During the early hours, some clear spells in between. Windfall night, we could see one or two mist and fog patches developing. Temperatures a little lower compared to of late, but still largely above freezing. And then it's a mixed day on Tuesday. We'll see a mixture of sunny spells and scattered showers. The showers taking their time to bubble up, some of them on the heavy side at times, but many places across England and Wales staying dry, though turning cloudy. Very cloudy across parts of Scotland here as well. Outbreaks of rain through the day, some hill snow possible too. And temperatures 6 or 7 here, elsewhere 13 or 14.
A brighter outlook with Box Solar, sponsors of weather on GB News.
The latest GB News travel.
Good morning, I'm Johnny Ratner. Problems continue heading out of Staffordshire into Warwickshire down the M42. The motorway stays closed from junction 10 to 9 between the Tamworth and Coleshill exits. A collision that happened late last night continues to be investigated. In Derbyshire, the A57 Snake Pass remains shut between Glossop and the Lady Barrow Reservoir for accident investigation work. East London, the A13 stays closed either side of the Prince Regent Lane underpass at Newham for recovery work queuing back past the Beckton flyover. In West London, the A4 remains shut at Cranford off the Henleys roundabout following a collision, and trains remain suspended out of Carmarthen to Cardiff Central. Electrical supply problems at Bridge End. GWR and Transport for Wales are telling us, and no long distance trains to and from London Euston today for engineering works. Avanti and London North Western running a reduced service north of Milton Keynes. That's the latest.
You can stay up to date throughout the day by visiting our website gbnews.com.
You could win our biggest prize giveaway so far. First, there's an incredible £10,000 in tax-free cash to spend however you like. Plus, courtesy of Variety Cruises, a bespoke 7-night small boat cruise for two worth £10,000. With flights, meals, excursions and drinks included, your next holiday could be on us. Choose any one of their 2025 Greek adventures and find your home at sea. We'll also send you packing with these luxury travel gifts. For a chance to win a prize worth over £20,000, text prize to 63232. Text costs £2 plus one standard network rate message. Or post your name and number to GB04 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 5 p.m. on the 26th of April. Full terms and privacy notice at gbnews.com/win. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
I'm Andrew Doyle. Join me at 7 o'clock every Sunday night for Free Speech Nation, the show where I tackle the week's biggest stories in politics and current affairs with the help of my two comedian panellists and a variety of special guests.
Free Speech Nation, Sunday nights from 7 on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Your weekend starts here with Friday Night Live with me, Mark Dolan, 8 till 9 on GB News. Big stories, big guests and big laughs as we get you ready for a cracking weekend. That's Friday Night Live with Mark Dolan. Fridays 8 till 9 on GB News. Bring your own drinks. The admission's free.
Good afternoon, Britain.
Good afternoon, Britain.
Weekdays from midday, we bring you the most compelling stories from across the United Kingdom.
And why it matters to you. From your doorstep to our inbox.
That's right, we want to hear from you. Good afternoon, Britain. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel. 2024, a battleground year.
The year the nation decides.
As the parties gear up their campaigns for the next general election.
Who will be left standing when the British people make one of the biggest decisions of their lives?
Who will rise?
And who will fall? Let's find out together.
For every moment, the highs, the lows, the twists and turns.
We'll be with you for every step of this journey.
In 2024, GB News is Britain's election channel.
Good morning, it's 9 o'clock on Monday, the 1st of April.
Very nice to have you on board. Breakfast with Eamonn and Ellie.
A shocking insight into the state of the NHS reveals new estimates suggest more than 250 patients a week die needlessly due to long waits for beds in hospital.
A smiling king greets crowds as he begins his return to royal duties at Windsor Castle yesterday.
Despite the government pledging households will be thousands of pounds better off, plenty of price rises are set to take force today. We spoke to Business Minister Kevin Hollinrake earlier.
See the economy turning a corner this year. We'll see interest rates dropping, taxes dropping, of course. £900 a year for the average person in terms of tax reductions with the national insurance cuts. So all those things are all good news to people. Of course, there's more to do, but things really are turning a corner.
Bad weather. Engineering work in a bank holiday means it's likely to be travel chaos for millions of you today.
The controversial Scottish hate crime bill comes into force today as critics get ready to protest.
Good morning. Today we've got outbreaks of rain. We've also got some heavy showers, perhaps thundery as well, but there'll also be some sunshine. Find out all the weather details coming up soon.
So here we are on this bank holiday Monday and Easter travel disruption continuing. Heavy rain predicted for today, and that should disrupt more than 2 million of you who are journeying.
Yes, the RAC predicts those 2 million car journeys will be made this Easter Monday, but the roads are going to be jam-packed as planned rail engineering works across the country means no trains for many trying to get back after the long weekend.
Let's go to GB News South East England reporter Ray Addison. Ray, you are at Euston Station, and there is our national reporter Theo Chikumba. And Theo, M25 for you. Let's take a look at the roads first, Theo. What are they like?
Yes, well, it's certainly clear that more people are getting into their cars and making their way to wherever they're going throughout the country. Here on the M25, it's one of the busiest roads in the UK. Normally on a day-to-day, around 200,000 people use this road, accounting for around 15% of all road users who use motorways on a daily basis. Now, in terms of the latest update at the moment, we've just heard of an update on the A1M southbound on the junction at 37. There's been a load spillage there, so there is some delays if you are heading in that direction. And on the M42 in Warwickshire, there's been a serious collision there, and the police are there investigating, seeing what is happening, and we're expecting roads to be open in the next couple of hours. But if you are heading in that direction, do expect delays. Now, the weather here in the southeast is quite decent at the moment, actually. No rain at the moment. As we know, when there is rain, we tend to see slower traffic. But at the moment, though, things are running smoothly. But the advice is to check before you travel.
Thank you, Theo. And we go to the train tracks now and find out from Jeff what is happening there. Good morning, my friend.
Well, this is London Euston, obviously one of the busiest stations in London. Normally 25,000 people on the concourse here every single day, but right now it's virtually a ghost town. Just a handful of people and a handful of services, particularly if you want to go to Watford Junction. That's the only route that they're serving at the moment. That's every 15 minutes. But all of the other routes that they normally do every single day into the northwest of the country have been cancelled. So that's affecting the West Coast and London North Western Railway lines to places such as Birmingham, Wolverhampton, Liverpool, Lancaster, Milton Keynes as well, and as far away as Glasgow and Edinburgh. And that's all the way until 5 a.m. tomorrow morning. So the first service will come into Euston tomorrow about 5:35 a.m. Also disruption in other parts of the country between London, Liverpool Street and Colchester, on the Elizabeth line between Paddington and Stratford Abbey Wood, and Cardiff and Carmarthen as well. There's major disruption on that route.
Thank you very much indeed, Ray and Theo. Ray at Euston Station, Theo on the M25, and both a very good example of why I just would never venture outside the M25 today. Just wouldn't.
It's absolute travel chaos, isn't it? And it's set to rain later as well. Theo was just saying it's lovely and sunny. I don't think for long.
No, not for long. Let's go to Scotland now. New laws to tackle the harm caused by hatred and prejudice come into force in Scotland today.
Yes, campaigners are expected to protest the act, though, outside the Scottish Parliament later today. Well, let's cross live now to GB News' Scotland reporter, Tony Maguire, who is in Edinburgh to tell us more. Very good morning to you, Tony. So this controversial bill comes into force today, but as we just heard, there is going to be protests.
Indeed, good morning to you both, and I feel obligated to tell viewers this is not an April Fool's joke. This is a new law from the SNP government. Really, it was passed in 2021, but it's taken a bit of time to come to fruition to allow police to get everything in motion, as it were, and how to respond. So there is going to be a protest this afternoon because it's somewhat out of step of the usual SNP progressive policies, with many saying that it's actually going to be a real challenge to freedom of speech. Now, the idea of the new law is to extend the stirring up of racial hatred and the laws against that to other characteristics. So any prejudices against age, sex, religion, transgender identity or variation in sex characteristics will come into focus. Now, it comes with a new offence as well, threatening or abusive behaviour which is intended to stir up hatred. And altogether, it's somewhat quite confusing, and if you're sitting confused at home, you're not alone. I was out in Glasgow over the weekend, and I asked members of the public how they felt about this new law.
I think it's silly. It should be arresting people that's actually dealing like real crimes and saying stuff, People are sensitive, some of the people are sensitive in that, and they're arresting people.
That's absolutely crazy. That is, it's mental, absolutely crazy. I am quite open, I say quite a lot of things I probably get into trouble for.
But you probably feel relaxed among friends.
Friends and stuff, you can't be yourself at all. So everybody's scared.
You're going to be going out and encouraging snitches and people to go and speak up about people just having a private conversation.
Now, the gender-critical feminist movement, they have their concerns about malicious reporting. Police Scotland are concerned that it will destroy trust in the police. So there's going to be a lot of voices sharing their opinions here outside Holyrood later.
OK, Tony Maguire there for us in Edinburgh. Thank you very much indeed.
Right, 9:30, Britain's newsroom as usual. Not as usual, Ben, Leo and Nana Akua who will be presenting. Very nice to see you both.
Morning. How was your Easter, both of you?
Yeah, lovely. What about yours?
It was okay, yeah, just...
You were here pretty much, weren't you?
Friday, Saturday, yeah. Managed to slip a few Easter eggs in yesterday.
Oh,
yeah.
good, that's what it was all about.
Well, it has to be done, or else what's the point?
Yeah, exactly. What's coming up on today's show?
Well, we are going to chat about some of the sewage, because I know you've obviously seen it. You probably saw, I don't know whether you watched the boat race, but apparently some people...
I watched both of them, watched the men's and the women's one. And I looked at it and I thought, now that everybody mentions it, the whole river's brown. It's not blue, it's not grey.
That's what they said. They said they saw floating logs going past them. And people like...
I
called it a log.
Yeah.
Well, didn't the Oxford team get very unwell?
They did, yes.
Well,
so embarrassing,
they said they did post-race. I mean, a lot of people were saying, well, you would say that because you lost. But I've been saying it for weeks on this channel that I live by the coast, and you know the amount of times I've been down to the sea to try and have a dip or swim with my kids, not just recently, but in recent years, and you can't because they just pump filth.
You can smell it, can't you, when you head down to the beach?
Well, I mean, it's been 3.6 million hours of raw sewage being pumped into our rivers, and it's embarrassing. The rest of the world would have watched that.
Disgraceful.
And one of the panellists I spoke to yesterday, who lives in St Lucia, lucky man, or is it Grenada, somewhere nice.
Somewhere lovely.
He basically said that we are a laughingstock to the rest of the world because of this. Even there, they are laughing.
So I think it's going to be a huge election issue.
I would never have thought that happened until a few years ago. I just would never have thought. Where are you on the south coast?
Worthing, West Sussex.
Yeah. Awful.
Brighton.
Absolutely awful.
And for me, it's a damning indictment of where we are as a country. There's nothing... It personifies where we are. A nation literally swimming in its own filth. I mean, I can't say any more than that.
But utility companies swimming in their own wealth as well.
Yeah.
I mean,
up the Swanee.
Yeah.
Foreign companies, Abu Dhabi, China, all relishing the profits.
Yeah.
Elsewhere on the show, not sure if you saw this video from the pro-Palestine march at the weekend. A Jewish lady complaining that there was a group carrying swastika placards, and the copper is standing there swirling his coffee, saying, what do you want me to do about it? Nothing to do. So we're going to get stuck into that. We've got a statement from the Met as well. But, yeah, raising tensions amidst all that.
Packed show. Thanks very much.
Have a good one, guys. Nice to see you both. Thank you very much indeed.
Now, you may have a holiday booked for this year, but what about next year? Well, you could win a bespoke Greek cruise for two in our brand new giveaway. Not only that...
But not 100, sorry. £10,000 in cash and a luxury gift package as well. You put it all together and you get our biggest giveaway so far. And here's how you could win.
With thanks to Variety Cruises, a family company sailing since 1942, you have the chance to win a £10,000 7-night small boat cruise for two. With flights, meals, excursions and drinks included, you'll be able to choose from any one of their 2025 Greek adventures and explore Greece like never before. Plus, you'll also win £10,000 in tax-free cash to make your summer sizzle. And we'll pack you off with these luxury travel gifts. For a chance to win a prize worth over £20,000, text WIN to 63232. Text costs £2 plus one standard network rate message. Or post your name and number to GB04 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 5 p.m. on the 26th of April. Full terms and privacy notice at gbnews.com/win. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Good luck. I can't think of a better competition. That is absolutely excellent.
No, it's good, isn't it? Get your holiday sorted as well as some cash. Now, still to come, don't go anywhere. Royal biographer Angela Levin is here with us. That's next.
I'm Christopher Hope.
And I'm Gloria Di Piero, bringing you
PMQ's live here on GB News.
Whenever Parliament is in session on a Wednesday at midday, we'll bring you live coverage of Prime Minister's questions. We'll be asking our viewers and listeners to submit the questions that they would like to put to the Prime Minister, and we'll put that to our panel of top politicians in our Westminster studio.
That's PMQ's live here on GB News, Britain's election channel.
I think the most exciting bit for me is talking to people.
People who I think are ignored often by the major news channels. We're going to give news they want to hear. There's a voice there that needs to be heard. I think there's a chance here for a diversity of opinion to be expressed, which you don't find elsewhere. It's really exciting.
We don't hold back. We're free to say how decisions that are taken here
affect us all around the country. only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
This is GB News, Britain's news channel.
Is the brand of toothpaste super important here, or is it more about the toothbrush? Because I was told a long time ago by my dentist, electric toothbrush, Pip, that is the way to go.
You're exactly right. I mean, the action of mechanically removing plaque, so using a brush, is much more effective than the brand of toothpaste itself. But in terms of the ingredient in toothpaste that we're looking for, it's something called fluoride. And fluoride is essential to help remineralize and strengthen our teeth. It's really important to use a toothpaste with fluoride. And in terms of brushing, using an electric toothbrush is just much easier. You know, you're brushing your teeth first thing in the morning, last thing at night. You're going to be a bit tired in those times. So using an electric toothbrush, you just hold it against your tooth and gum and it does all the work for you. So it's just much easier in my opinion.
But you have to use your electric toothbrush properly.
You're exactly right. Yeah, there is a technique of actually brushing your teeth, although it sounds really simple. With an electric toothbrush, you have to hold it against the tooth and the gum. Ideally, you want a pressure sensor in that toothbrush so you know exactly when you're pressing too hard. But if you're using a manual toothbrush, you need to move it around and small circular motions. But actually what I see is people who use manual toothbrushes, they tend to over scrub and over brush, which can actually lead to gum recession and your enamel thinning long term.
Sometimes I will get up in the morning and I will have breakfast and then I'll brush my teeth. Is that wrong?
Unfortunately, that's wrong. So the best time to brush your teeth is first thing in the morning, as soon as you wake up. If you're brushing after you eat and after breakfast, you're brushing your teeth in that weakened acidic state. So your teeth are actually under attack and they're much more vulnerable.
Oh, goodness me, so many royal things to talk about. We're just sitting here talking to royal author and commentator Angela Levin this morning about, I suppose the main thing is Easter and the service yesterday and the fact that King Charles was there with his wife, Queen Camilla.
Yes, well, it was wonderful to see him. I got all watery-eyed because I'm so keen in the royal family and I thought it was such a shame he was so ill. But he looked much better.
Well. He looked well.
Yeah, he looked much better. His eyes were sparkling. And he was obviously extremely happy to be there. What I felt was very strange was that he went afterwards to talk to the huge number of people who came to see him and to shake hands with them. Now, I think since all these pandemic that you don't want to shake hands with anyone. Be very careful. And how did they let him do that? You know, what happened about that?
Was that a good sign, though, Angela, that he's able to shake hands with people?
But that's not wise for you, for me, for anybody. I mean, you're spreading germs. I mean...
It's not the point. If you spread all ages and you shake with them one after the other, somebody's bound to get something.
Angela, when I brought out my autobiography 17 years ago, I remember...
70 or 17?
17.
Okay.
And I went to all these shops all around the country, and I don't think I've ever been so sick.
So ill? No.
People shaking hands with you at the wrong time of the year, people wiping their nose and shaking hands with you. It's asking for trouble, it is. But the Queen... If I mean, the previous Queen, Queen Elizabeth II, she always wore gloves, for instance.
So did Camilla.
Right.
She had gloves on, but she shook hands with everybody to make sure that she didn't catch anything. But I also thought it was rather strange that they allowed him to do that, but actually he couldn't sit next to his family. I would have thought that he could have sat near his family, but not shake all the hand. But when somebody said, "How are you?" he said, I just obey my instructions. And he looked and winked at Camilla. Yes. And I thought, well, that's good. She will tell him, don't do this again.
Yeah, he is buoyed by the walkabouts, isn't he?
He loved
loves to see the crowd.
He was back there again. That's what he likes, to meet people, quips and...
You say that, it's not everybody he loves to see. We're going to go back in time now, 2005. And this is in Switzerland. And he was with William and Harry skiing. And anyway... the Charles and the BBC's royal correspondent Nicholas Witchell, who retired yesterday. They had a party for him yesterday. And Nick is 70 years of age. and the King didn't think he was being recorded. Cameras were on him, but he didn't think he was being recorded. And he said, "I can't bear that man. He's so awful."
Yeah.
He really is.
And that actually stayed with him forever. That's what he's been known at, that King Charles said that about him. But he sent a warm greetings that he would enjoy his, his retirement.
I think Nick was quite touched by that.
I bet he was very touched, because at the end they made up, really, or at least King Charles made up with him.
Well, I hope Nick has a very happy and fruitful retirement. That's excellent.
How has Queen Camilla been through all of this?
She's been absolutely
really
wonderful.
Stepped up to the plate, hasn't she?
She hasn't been someone who wants to be in the spotlight, but she does the duty, and she's very easy to talk to, and she really does anything she can for him. And the next thing that she might do, if he's not well enough, is go to Normandy for the 80th D-Day celebration, where there'll be all sorts of leaders from all around the world. And she loves the military, because her father talked about it a lot, and he won 2 huge awards during World War II for bravery. And I think she would enjoy that. She enjoys that, and I think she'd do it very well. He wants to go desperately, but again, the travel could take a lot out of him. I think he has to decide day by day, doesn't he, really? I was surprised that they said before he was going that he would go, because he could wake up one day and feel really awful. But he's really determined, and I think determination is a very good... Yes.
I could see why he would be determined. I mean, there will hardly be anybody alive who landed at the beaches in Normandy.
Yes, that's right.
And this is probably the last year there would be such a thing. I don't really know. So I can see how, as an ex-military man himself, that he would be quite pleased and quite happy.
He wants to see the last few there. But I think Camilla, the Queen, she would tell him a lot about it if he can't go. I think he's got to be very careful about it.
Do you have any understanding of how he is feeling at the moment, Angela? Is he frustrated by...
Yes, he's very frustrated. I've been told that he's absolutely fed up because, his whole life has been going out, meeting people, shaking hands, cracking jokes, and actually seeing how people are. That's all ages and all types. That's what he likes to do. So it's really, really difficult for him to just be at home. He's worked all the paperwork and seen one person coming or another, but it's actually just being...
Meeting, greeting,
that's what he does
pressing the
to
flesh, all that sort of thing.
Now, one of the problems is, for the royal family next coming up, is 2027, when the Invictus Games could be done in the UK. That's going to be decided in the next month or two and take place in Birmingham. Now, it's very difficult for the royal family. Do they provide protection? Do they go and see it? Do they support him? Will William, who paid a lot of money for this to go, to start off the Invictus Games in 2014. Would he take part? So it's very interesting. The other thing is that Meghan has overtaken it, and she makes the speeches and she stands in front and walks down. And several people from Canada, which is this year, have said to me, please stop it. Please don't let it happen, because we don't want her doing it. She knows nothing about the military. So perhaps I think that she would have a stall where she could sell all her
buns and cakes,
and tablecloths and things like that, and everybody would be very happy that she was out of the way and she could make a bit of money, because she's not. There's a lot of people in page 6 of the New York Times said that lots of people don't want to go in with her and pay the money to get it going. So it's going to be difficult.
It'll be fascinating to see.
She should have got it done quickly. Why?
You wanted to talk to us about one of Prince Andrew's daughters, Princess Beatrice.
Yes, I think this is very touching and very important, that she took on a little boy called Wolfie. There's now 7. That was her husband's child, and she has his original mother, his birth mother, said how happy she is with them, because she's so endearing to him. She's been so lovely to him. He's got like 2 lots of family now, and that despite the divorce, they've been very generous and they haven't used him at all to make things difficult. And they thought this was brilliant.
I think Princess Beatrice comes across as such a lovely person. You can see in all those pictures there, she's holding his hand the whole time.
Yes, and he looks very relaxed with him. She's not sort of holding it, come with me.
Yeah.
And I think that's very touching. And I think if more people did that, because a lot of people divorcing make it very difficult for the children.
Yeah.
I want them, no, you want them. I'm not talking about your father or your mother. No, but this has gone so smoothly. And I thought that was very nice to mention
This brings
that.
us to another point. Ellie just talked about, you know, the extended families there and whatever. The duties on the members of the royal family who are still up and at it and doing things. Resources are tight in terms of people. What do you think about somebody like Princess Eugenie or Princess Beatrice being involved in the ranks?
Well, Princess Eugenie says she's got a lot to do, 2 young children, and she's working. I think with Beatrice, she would be fine. She's very wise, and she tried to stop her father from doing that terrible documentary. But, you know, will they tell Harry? Eugenie is very happy with Harry, so I don't think it's going to happen.
OK. Angela, thanks very much indeed for running through events, all events royal, as they are up to date on this Bank Holiday Monday. Have a good rest of the day.
Thank you.
Thank you
And you.
very much indeed. Thank you.
And was so lovely to see the King yesterday, wasn't it? So we wish him well, and I hope he's enjoying his Easter celebrations after his first walkabout yesterday, the first one of this year.
First one of this year. So whatever you're doing, if you're lucky enough to be off today, have a very good Bank Holiday Monday. Thank you for your company. Ellie and I'll be back again tomorrow morning from 6 a.m. Hope to see you then. Bye-bye.
A brighter outlook with Box Solar, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Hello, good morning. Welcome to your latest weather. Over the next few days, it does remain unsettled. We do have rain pushing north today, heavy showers following, but there will be some warm sunshine. We can divide the country into 3 today. Cloud and rain across this central swathe of the UK. Quite a cold feeling day. To the north of this, fairly cloudy, some bright skies, and then to the south of this, a mixture of sunny spells and scattered showers. Some of them will be heavy, with some hail and thunder in there too. It could be some local disruption. If you are stuck under this area of cloud and rain, it'll be quite cold, temperature 7-8 degrees. But in any sunnier breaks, we could see highs around 13 to 15 degrees, so not feeling too bad in the sunshine. As we move through into the evening time, further showers across England and Wales, perhaps some longer spells of rain along the south coast for a time. This area of rain continues to push its way northwards into Scotland, Northern Ireland also seeing some spells of rain. During the early hours, some clear spells in between. Winds fall light, we could see 1 or 2 mist and fog patches developing. Temperatures a little lower compared to of late, but still largely above freezing. And then it's a mixed day on Tuesday. We'll see a mixture of sunny spells and scattered showers. The showers taking their time to bubble up, some of them on the heavy side at times, but many places across England and Wales staying dry, though turning cloudy. Very cloudy across parts of Scotland here as well. Outbreaks of rain through the day, some hill snow possible too. And temperatures 6 or 7 here, elsewhere 13 or 14.
That warm feeling inside from Boxed Boilers, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Good morning to you. Hope you had a pleasant Easter weekend. It's bank holiday today, so thank you so much for joining me and Nana on Britain's Newsroom. Coming up on the show, A&E deaths, what is going on with the state of our NHS. And Nana, did you see that video from the Palestine protest on Saturday?
Unbelievable.
Coppers refusing to do anything about swastika placards. Join us in a few minutes for Britain's Newsroom. See you there.
The latest GB News travel.
Good morning, I'm Johnny Ratner. Major problems continue for the M42 this morning. Heading out of Staffordshire into Warwickshire, the southbound carriageway of the motorway still cordoned off from junction 10 to 9 from the A5 down to the Coleshill exit. A serious crash that happened late last night continues to be investigated. In Derbyshire, meanwhile, the A57 remains closed both ways along the Snake Pass between Glossop and Lady Bower for accident investigation work. In East London, the A13 remains closed either side of the Prince Regent Lane under